What's not to love about American Giant? American-made, jobs for Americans, and they're manufacturing top-notch clothing with that good old American craftsmanship. They're also doing great things with the Rescue 22 Foundation. American Giant came up with this limited edition Rescue 22 Classic Full Zip Hoodie to help fund a service dog for a veteran in need. You can snag one on their website, american-giant.com. American Giant believes that work and building up American manufacturing communities brings purpose, and purpose results in a better product. If you need quality clothing like jeans, t-shirts, and sweatshirts, check them out at american-giant.com/Jack and get 20% off with discount code Jack at checkout.
This is the Danger Close Podcast, Beyond the Books with me, Jack Carr.
Welcome to the Danger Close Podcast, an Ironclad original presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. My guest today is my friend, Bert Sorin. He is the president and co-owner of Sorinex. That is Sorinex. Be sure and check them out online, also on the social channels. Had a great conversation with him just before taking off for the UFC fight tonight. So now, without further ado, here's Bert Sorin. Awesome. Bert, thanks for coming up, man.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
So cool. It's always so great to see you. You're here for UFC.
Yeah.
And I'm going too.
Yeah. We might even be sitting close.
I think we might be. I'm going to take my little guy who is 12, going to be 13 soon, and told him yesterday, and he's excited. I don't think he's ever watched a full one on TV. I think every time we watch something, like they get distracted with something else and run off and they're doing whatever they do. Yeah. So I don't think he really gets what's going to happen, but he's watched all the Rockies and all that stuff. So he gets, combat type sport. So he understands. He doesn't do jiu-jitsu now, but he did a few years at jiu-jitsu. And we need to get him back into that. These kids.
Yeah, I kind of want to get my kids into it. I just don't know a good spot and that's
close by.
Kind of that whole martial art deal is like, I think you have to have a really good dojo and a good instructor. Mm-hmm. And I've heard some horror stories when they're not the case. So it's like, if I'm throwing my kids into something, I want to make sure they're on the up and up. So.
Yeah. We're lucky in San Diego. We had a really, a lot of different options down there, but one that was close to us. First was one in Coronado. It's not there anymore, but run by an old SEAL buddy.
Sure.
Mine out there, and with Aaron Hernandez also, who's awesome dude. And then went over to a Gracie school, had a really good kids program. Yeah. So really liked that. So my daughter
has his place down there.
Jocko has, it's a little far. It was a little farther.
Right.
From us. But yeah, Victory is there. They have an amazing kids program also, and they have everything there. You've been there, right?
It's crazy.
It's amazing. That gym, and then the area for rolling, and then they have all these different classes for all the, kickboxing or Muay Thai, and it's just a really cool spot.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much that guy has going on.
He has a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's every time I think I have a lot going on, I'm like, man, how does he do that?
I know.
Jeez.
It's wild. So yeah, no, I like the idea of getting my little, I think it's about the right time to get in the jits or something along those. I mean, they've been just kind of.
It's good to have that foundation.
Yeah.
Even my daughter doing it all those years, and now she's just turned 18, but she's she had a solid foundation. And she had a solid she's learning jiu-jitsu from SEALs and world-class guys that roll. And then she's learning long-range shooting from SEAL snipers. And like I don't know if she realizes how unique that upbringing was for her. But it's pretty cool to have, SEAL snipers, Marine snipers, teaching her the long range stuff, getting out to hunt, and then rolling with these guys that are just such high level practitioners.
Isn't that like kind of the goal though? Like, isn't that what hopefully, we work so hard to try to put our kids and our family in situations where they can have extraordinary experiences. Yeah. I know that is for me, like same, obviously a lot of the same group of people, you're like, man, when you get a kid taught by this person or a John Dudley to teach how to shoot a bow, and or like you get some kind of wild world record holder in the shot put at your house is teaching your kid how to throw shot put in the backyard. You're like, dude, like come on, this is wild.
That's amazing. Now we have phones for better or for worse, but the better part of it is that we have our cameras on us to capture those type of moments.
Yes.
And I'm pretty bad about, I take so many pictures of the kids, that they're like roll their eyes and stuff, but I'm always trying to get the ones like where they're smiling. If my little guy's making a funny face, you know, I'm like, exactly. So I have so many, actually my iCloud thing just filled up totally. And I looked at it.
If you filled up iCloud, you're
with the max, and so I tried to buy more, but it wouldn't let me buy more.
No way.
So now I'm like, what do I do now? I guess I gotta get a new.
How many pictures do you have on your phone?
I don't know. I'll show you after. But the whole, you know, that little bar that shows what where your storage is.
Yeah.
It's all whatever the color is for photos is like the whole thing.
Wow.
And then so I had 2 terabytes was the max, and so I tried to. I'm like, oh, let's buy 2 more terabytes, and it wouldn't let me. Yeah, it says you've already maxed out. So I'm like,
you're
just
like
get a new
red
phone?
flag for like information.
Like, and so every time I open the photo part to do something, it says it hasn't backed up for X days, and then it says that your storage is full. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think I have like 56,000 pictures on my phone, and
look at it right now. My phone's over there.
Ridiculous amount of video, but the same thing. And my kids are always like, "Dad, put away your phone." I go, no, you don't like.
I'm capturing this.
I'm capturing this.
John Dudley's teaching you how to shoot a bow right now. You know, it's like, this is cool.
Yeah. Or, I kind of jokingly call it like the wedding photos. Like, this is the picture I want to have, like when you're married one day of you being a little kid, hauling in a catfish with a goofy look on your face, or like, or what I'll look at as an old man when you're out of the house, and I go, oh, right. Like, these are my little dudes and my little girls and stuff. So I always try to like look at it that way, but then you like a weirdo, like with the camera out all the time.
And I do love the memories, the memory part that pops up on iPhone. So I do like that. A lot of things I dislike about the phone, but I do like when the memories pop up. But it also stalls me out, whatever I'm doing, because usually I'm picking it up for something, and then I'm like, yeah, that was like, and then I'm like, what was I doing? And then I like screenshot it to send it to my wife, or try to figure out how to send it from like that little thing. And then now I've lost 20 minutes, It's just like, jeez, that's just how it goes.
Yeah. It's like the Facebook thing that sends you like 3 years ago today, you were doing this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, that was cool. And then same thing, screenshot it, send it to your buddy. And then what I realized is generally I'm very habitual. I do the same things. I'm like very seasonal. It's like, 3 years ago you were outside shooting your bow, walking with a rucksack. I'm like, well, no news is good news.
Yep, off I go. Sling the ruck. Here we go.
Exactly. Just realized how habitual it seems I am.
Yeah. No, I went out last Friday, and we're all on the river. My wife, my daughter, our youngest son, and we're out fly fishing, and so everybody got it. My wife got a crazy brown trout. Oh my gosh, it was huge. I've never seen one that big around here, or in the West even. I don't think she really knows what she got, but I'll show you the picture later.
Catch and release.
But, we're out here. I think, and then our daughter got one, our son got one, and it was cool. It was being out there on the river. Nobody's on their phones except for me taking pictures of them.
The guy that's like,
exactly
rewilding, and, you're like,
and I'm like, hold on a second, let me get my phone out. But it's glad I have those pictures. Yeah.
Oh, that's same. We took the kids catfishing this past week, and it was like 150 pictures later.
Nice. Do you go right there on your property on the lake?
We fish a good bit on the lake, but then we went to a different lake down south that has stupid amount of fish, the Santee Cooper Reservoir. So they have almost all the state records and many world records of freshwater species are all strangely in the same lake. It's like lakes. It's like the Skull Island of lakes.
Okay.
And so we went down there. I think they caught 46 catfish.
Dang.
Just the boys.
Yeah.
And they crushed them.
Wow.
It was fun. They always had a great time. So the dads, we just held back. Oh, just like, let them do it.
Yep. No, I love that part. My daughter, we have some great pictures of my daughter. She was, 9, in Colorado, actually. Very close to the location I talk about in this latest book, Only the Dead. There's a place in Colorado that was actually supposed to be Argentina. So when I outlined it, the place we were just talking about in Argentina, that around Tipuluque, that's what was. I went down there to do research, and while I was down there, I'm taking notes, and in my mind, that's where the Colorado scenes in Only the Dead are supposed to take place, in Argentina. And then when I got back and really started getting into the meat of it, it just felt forced. It felt like, oh man, I've been wanting to put Argentina in for a long time. Am I forcing this?
It's like, why would it be in Argentina?
Yeah, it didn't make sense. I mean, in the outline, I had it like making sense-ish, but once you actually move from the outline to the narrative, things start to kind of take on a life of their own with backstories, and you start to see things that you didn't see when you were doing the outline, and it just didn't make sense to go down there and then come back up here. It was just, it didn't really make sense. I'll use it in a future novel for sure. But yeah, all the Argentina stuff in the outline is Jack changed to Colorado, but that place in Colorado that I describe in the novel, that's where my daughter got all those fish.
See, that's why I love it. I know you well enough and listened to the books enough that I like I said earlier, I don't know if Jack is turning into James or James is turning into Jack. Like those little Easter eggs are so cool. And they make it a pseudo fiction, right? That's the coolest part about it, that this is your life, your vision, your story, your ideals worked into a fictional story, that there's all these little Easter eggs that might be real. They might be kind of real. The names have maybe been changed, or it could be fiction, or it could, and I love it how it's like a book of gray area on the spectrum. And that's so cool. And probably because I would be a horrible writer, most likely, but if I could write, that's how I would want to write. Awesome. Because it's like, we've seen and enjoyed so many amazing things in our life. You want to write about them, but to be able to put them in a palatable way where hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people enjoy that story and put themselves in that. And you're like, I'm getting to tell the story of my life through this other thing. And so like, that's why I so many times I've wanted to stop. I'm like, how did you decide to do this? Why was and I knew there obviously has to be some reason behind it, versus like, it'd be cool if an alien came down right now, right? Yeah. There's always so much in there. And so that's, I hope the reader understands that and appreciates the level of detail and realness in your books. Because in my opinion, that's the masterpiece portion.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So some of it's just, there's a lot of touch points with real life, and mine with the state of the country in general, the world in general. But some things are in there, like written like for one person. Like I said, and something about Iraq or Afghanistan or, wherever else, or Mali or wherever, like this one line, like only one person's going to get it, but it's real. So hopefully the feeling, the emotion, the kind of the raw primal nature of it, perhaps, even if it's just a sentence, will stand out to a reader who doesn't know, who's not that one person that I put it in there for. But it makes it personal to me, which means that my heart and soul is going into that sentence, even if only one other person in the world is going to recognize it. But hopefully the other people realize that my heart and soul's in it, but they're not going to know exactly what that touch point is to my personal background. But one person is. And so I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and you're getting to publicly say hi to that person. And that I think is that would be the reason I would want to be an author or a rock star. I'd love to be able to be on stage and look out into a crowd and make a gesture to one person that only they get, and to give the public like, hey man, I see you, you're my guy, you're whatever. And like, that is just, that connection point is just so super cool. And I assume other authors have done it, obviously. I guess maybe.
I don't know.
But I guess maybe because I know you and I know our circle so well, I could see it. Yeah. And it's just like, that to me is the most addictive quality of your books.
Man,
it's just because it's not just a pure fiction. And like we were talking earlier, I think your books and podcasts like Joe's are really, really a needed thing for the world and our country right now, because I think they tackle topics and things about our country and what's going on that can be consumed in maybe a more open state because of the state they're putting in as fiction. And I don't want to maybe go too down that rabbit hole, but you get what I'm saying. But like a lot of people I talk to in my world, I found your book as almost not a gateway drug, but hey, you might enjoy this book. Mm-hmm. And then the conversations that come back of, hey, do you really think that so-and-so happens? Do you really think that technology is a thing? Mm-hmm. And that opens conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like when you and I years ago talked about Yuri Bezmenov. It's been interesting that's like been put more and more. Yeah. And it's like people need to kind of pay attention to those things.
Yeah, watch those.
And in whatever method that it's consumed, that's okay. So no, you're doing a fantastic job, not only as an author, but like a lot of patriots, rational people out here appreciate your voice because it is very much needed.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. And when you, I love what you told me on the deck when you're like, James Reese, Jack Carr. But we were talking about this sharp turn. And as soon as the first time I came up here, I was like, oh, I like this turn. I like this hairpin right here because you're going to have to slow down if you're coming up. And it's easy to block. And there's a nice line of sight that with a 50 would be just ideal.
Yeah.
So maybe we should edit that part out. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of hairpin turns.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I love that it's not lost on you. Your observation picks up on those things and goes, oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. That little aspect of that was kind of neat. And so I love it. And, we talked about like my driveway was one of the first things. It's like, oh, what's the mill hold at the end of my driveway?
There you go.
And hopefully that's never something I have to test.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to be prepared.
Yeah. But when my mindset shifts out of caring, then I know I probably need to recalibrate.
Yeah, no, good point. That's a very good point. And speaking of recalibrating, all right, here we go. Shoot to eat. So I saw you post this the other day, and I was like, oh man. And then I'm like, I'm going to be really hungry. So what's the deal with shoot to eat? So they got targets here for anybody watching. I got a small one and I got a big one.
Yeah. So it's something I did a couple years ago, just playing around with different training when I was shooting archery. So some days I'd go out and I'd work on a specific technique, a drill or something like that. And then I started going back to my hammer throw days of competition. There's training and there's competition mindsets, in my opinion. So there was always, but you had to train to be able to compete. That kind of, we used to call it the one throw competition. So there you go. Damn. One throw compy. So our coach would go middle of practice. He would go, okay, one throw compy, and then all of a sudden it's go time. You have one throw, nothing else matters. Who wins practice right then? And so. Cold bore shot, right? Yeah. And so you immediately learn who's the gamer, who could pick up their crap and go right now. And I had days where I beat the best guy on our team because I was able to compete, and I had days where I choked. And that always kind of stuck out. And I was like, wow, when it comes down to it, if you have to do a cold bore shot at any case. And then years later, I was training for the Olympic trials, and the year before I'd missed finals and at nationals, and it was like, well, what would have taken to get to finals wasn't my personal record. It was just you have to be able to do a certain percentage of your lifetime best at any time. You have to have that throw in your pocket, as we would call it. Okay. So I started training. I'd set an alarm, and I would go to the track at random times. I go, oh, okay, alarm went off. I have 60 minutes to get to the track, warm up, and produce a throw of this distance. And it wasn't a physical training aspect. It was a mental, emotional, can you pull your crap together at any time and go get the job done? Yeah. So I started waking up one day, and I walked outside, and I was just still groggy. I took a drink of water, and I was like, man, instead of doing like the whole, I shoot a couple at 20 or 40 and work my way up and get technique and drills. So I was like, no, I'm going to long bomb one. And if I hit a kill zone, I get to eat today. And if I don't, screw you, pays to be a winner. You suck. Let it hurt. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it on Instagram. So now there's a social pressure of failing in front of people. Okay. So it's like, how do I induce as much stress as possible? Physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress. And I think it was like 55 yards, whatever. I hit, okay, great. But I think and so the next day I went to 56 and did it again. So if you succeed, every day gets a little bit more difficult. Okay. And I think at like 58 or 60 or something like that, one day I missed. I was just a little out. And I remember as I was breaking the shot, the pen was floating and it floated a little wide. And I remember I could probably sneak it in. Just that split second of focus. And I just, and it didn't. And I was so pissed off.
What release are you using?
I'm still a trigger guy. Okay. I went to the back tension. I'm unable to do it with consistency. Okay. And so I went back to the trigger release, the Spot Hog. I can't remember what it's called. Little purple guy, little Cam Hanes purple one. I love it. But anyway, so I missed my shot, and I remember, there's embarrassment. You missed. There's you're kind of pissed off because you don't get coffee, you don't get food. You're like, all right, well, I'm going to take a shower and go to work. Like,
and this is all day, or this just breakfast?
I usually I'll go to breakfast or whatever your next meal would be.
What about second breakfast?
And 11sies.
Okay. All right. Just make sure I'm clear on the rules.
Yeah. So I'm a big breakfast guy. Some people are like, well, I don't eat breakfast anyway. Okay, well then pass up lunch. You know, make it hurt. Make it. And again, it's not going to kill you. It's just something, right? So what I noticed was my focus, I lost focus for a split second, just a split second. And I thought of, and I go, gosh, out of a 24-hour day, you couldn't hold your crap together for an extra second and a half. And I was like, you couldn't stay focused. You let your mind wander. You had one job today. To get up and do one shot that was doable. You just stopped focusing. You didn't care enough.
Yeah.
And so I beat myself up, of course, about it. And then so that evening when I came back and trained, it was like hyper focused, hyper dialed. And then the next morning I woke up, it was like the Terminator. Like I was like, I woke up and all I could think about was like kill. I went out and it was just ultimate confidence, ultimate focus.
Same shot, 50 whatever yards.
Yeah, I had to re-hit the shot because it was the same. And then you move on, you move up. And so I just nutted it, first shot. And then it was like, but that's what I needed. I needed to taste a little of my own blood. I needed to have something on the line. I needed to have, so I played with it for a couple years. And then so this year I was like, hey, let's do like a challenge. Let's do a 2-week challenge, 15 days, August 1st to August 15th. Pick a target. We have those targets. The big one is a 10-inch kill zone, which is roughly for a deer, elk, mule deer, stuff like that. If you hit, you eat. If you hit the yellow, you don't. And then, so most people don't have what we would consider full distance, 60, 70, 80 yards or whatever. So then we made a half distance target, which is a 5. So if, let's say, so now your 30 yard is a applicable distance for mathematics.
So where are you starting? So you're supposed to start August 1st, you're supposed to start?
August 1st, yeah.
And you're supposed to start at what yard line?
You start at whatever is a difficult shot for you. So if some people are just new to it, maybe 20 yards.
Yeah.
But for me, like I'm going to start at 60 because I know if I'm on and I focus, 60 isn't a problem. If I don't, I miss. Okay.
And you have 15 days, so you're going to 75?
Yeah. So then there's a probability I'm going to start missing shots, but then that's going to be leading into my Deseret mule deer hunt. So it's competition mode, wake up competition mode, wake up, one shot, cold bore, all that matters. And then, so if my bow's not shooting well, then I have the rest of the day to get my crap together. I'm going to dial, I'm going to do whatever. And I know tomorrow is 68 yards. Like I could be training at 68 the night before because you know what's coming. Like, the test is coming. And so study for the test, but also it keeps me honest to go, I didn't shoot today. Yeah. Well, maybe I shot my one shot, but there's a high probability I'm going to miss and I'm going to embarrass myself and all the things. Right. Yeah. And so for me, it's like kind of like football camp. Like,
okay. And you're going to post it every day?
Post it every day. So that's kind of what people.
On your personal or on
my personal, but then Sorinex Outdoors, when people, if they do it, they tag it, post their stuff. So we tied in with a company called Clean Eats, and they're giving away 30 meals, mail-in meals. They're like all healthy breakfast meals. So they'll pick a winner out of someone, whether it's the most shots hit or just something cool. Nice. But so there's a little bit of, again, pays to be a winner. But the idea is just like get everybody up for 15 days. You can do as long as you want. But the whole thing is like, don't miss days. Make it count every day. If you're good, great. Tomorrow's going to be harder. Every day. The only easy day was yesterday kind of mindset. And so anyway, we did it a couple of years ago. I did it, and then other people just started kind of doing it. And I said, let's make it official this year. Make it fun. You have a sticker or something like that where people know what it is.
Yeah, it's cool.
And I even thought about for rifle, if a rifle hunter, if you have a range that you could shoot, or even a 22,
go out with the cold bore,
cold bore 22 shot on that 5-inch circle, 150 yards, 200 yards. That's a hard shot. And so the idea of it is just do something hard, make it count, have it where there's a stressor in there. If you fail, it hurts. If you succeed, it doesn't.
That's awesome, man.
And so shoot, eat.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. What was that company that did the breakfast thing that's going to send the meal?
Yeah, Clean Eats.
Clean Eats. Okay.
Yeah, Clean Eats. So so you got a sticker whether you want to throw one in your yard, and I know it's hard. It's hard to go out and shoot a whole bunch. But
it shouldn't be around here.
Because you got
22 targets within. Oh my god.
Yeah, but if you pick one or whatever, you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to take my cold bore shot. That's what it is today. And what I found was it goes from, hey, I'm shooting pretty good. I don't necessarily need to shoot today, to oh crap, I better, because I'm getting tested tomorrow. There is a test every day.
Yeah.
And really, it's a 5-minute thing. You walk outside, you take a drink of water, you take your shot.
Yeah.
Everyone has time for that.
From that office right there.
Yeah.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8 ones I can move. So I probably have 8 from that balcony even that I can go out and
you have a pretty
shoot.
good little overwatch.
I gotta send the kids out to get the arrows though, because I gotta get to work. You know, I'll send one and then I'll be like, dang it, or awesome, and then back inside, back to work.
You'll just have 15 arrows up top.
Yeah, well, Caleb makes me 100 arrows for every bow. Caleb Brewer at Stick Sniper Archery. Nice. He's like, how many arrows do you want? 100 for every one of these.
Yeah, because ammo is great to have.
Yeah, why not? You know?
Yeah, what bow are you shooting right now?
Well, I'm shooting the new Hoyt, this one right here. Where is it? This one? Yeah. This is the one.
Oh, nice. Got your Origin camo?
Yeah, that's it right here.
Nice.
So luckily I got a few different ones, but
that's killer.
But yeah, this is the latest. So I've been shooting this guy, but
yeah,
man, I've never been without a bow since I was 5. So I always have had a bow. There's one over there in the corner I'll show you. That's my present to myself from graduating buds. I went up to Performance Archery, had Bob Fromm build me up a bow. It's a bear over there, and so that was my gift to myself. It was time for a new one. I had the other one.
Yeah, I saw that one up there. You had that one for a minute.
That one, yeah, that was a gift from Isaac Allman up there. So it's a Rambo bow from the 80s.
Oh, is that like the like the Rambo style bow?
It's the one I think they marketed after, so it's not like the one that he puts together and used in the thing. It was just I think one of the things that they did as far as marketing around the film back in 1985. So a junior one for my little guy, and then the one on the wall, I have a compound and a recurve. They were both part of like the whatever Rambo marketing that Hoyt did back in the day. Yeah, in the beginning of Rambo First Blood Part 2, the novelization, which for those listening is a book written off screenplays, so not an adaptation of a novel, but a book written off the screenplay. So David Morrell, who created Rambo, wrote that, did the novelization for Rambo First Blood Part 2 and for Rambo 3. And at the beginning, it talks about Hoyt and Jimmy Lyle knives. And so it's the address on there and everything. It's so great. It's so fantastic. It's so great. 80s. It's part of my time machine. Takes me right back. And back then, I don't know why. Well, because I didn't have enough money. There's no way I'm getting a Jimmy Lyle knife back in 1985. But looking back, I'm like, oh, why couldn't I have somehow figured that out? Like, that would have been awesome.
I met Jimmy Lyle in 1985.
No way.
As a 9-year-old at Blade Show.
What?
Yeah. When my dad, he's been in knives forever. So in Knoxville, Tennessee, he took us to Blade Show. That's awesome. And I got I don't even know where it is, but I got a autograph from Jimmy Lyle.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And I was a little kid. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And, you could have totally bought a Lyle knife back then. And I look back and I remember Pops. I was like, hey, this is super cool. And I remember Pops because he was just like, yeah, but it's an interesting design, but it's like not super functional. Like the blade's too thick. I'm like, dude.
That's not why you get it.
No, you should have bought it and been done with it. Yeah, he actually bought a Loveless years and years and years ago.
Loveless, I don't know that.
Loveless is it's a very, very, they go for like 30, 40 grand now.
Wow.
And there was like the whole style of custom knives, and he waited like 2 years to get it, and he got it. And Loveless has kind of a small hand. My dad has a really big hand, so the handle didn't fit. So he ended up giving it to he was paid like $300 or $400 or $500 back then.
It's a lot back then.
Yeah, but a lot back then.
That's a lot today, but
yeah, he gave it to his foreman, and then like later found out now it's like if you have a Loveless, it's like 20, 30 grand. I was like, he was like, yeah, but the hand was too small. I was like, yeah, but come on, man.
I mean, back then, $300 might as well have been $3 million.
Might as well have been. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I saw that, like U.S. Cavalry magazine and those ones. I remember seeing the SOG. They did 2 versions. They had like a Vietnam like SF version, and then a couple of years later they had Naval Special Warfare a SEAL version, like the same knife, but it was like had some blue in the handle wasn't wood. It was something different. But it was like $350, I want to say.
Right.
And
might
I was
as well have been $1 million.
Yeah, back then. But now looking back, I'm like, oh man, I wish somehow. How could I have figured that out somehow? I mean, I was 10 or something, but still. That's
wild. Yeah. Yes, I met Lyle and a couple of those other guys back then. I went down to Randall, probably at 10 years old as well.
In Florida? Were they always in Florida?
Yeah, down in Orlando. Bo was not alive, the old man, but I met his son, which was super cool. I'm trying to think what you've met Stallone, right?
We did a little video teleconference, Zoom call together recently.
Yeah, I got to meet him at Gunner's gym
when
I was
in LA.
over there. Yeah, in LA. he's his client, and I was down there doing Jocko's gym, and I was staying at Gunner's, and he's like, "Hey, Sly's coming in tomorrow."
Dude.
He's like, we had met one time randomly before, but he's like, he's coming in, and he sat down and did a video podcast for 45 minutes with me.
Really?
Yes.
How did I miss this?
I've never posted it.
Oh, well, that's probably why.
I've never done anything. So we're making a little mini movie called Strong Roots, where I tie in where strength and conditioning specialists to celebrities, all people, and we talk about how the strength game has tied them all together, and how
kidding.
regardless of where we are in life, like strength is one of the things that has tied us together.
How cool is that?
To
meet him.
Yeah, it was wild. So he and I got talking, and I couldn't believe it. He sat and he was like, "Hey, you want to?" I asked Gunner, and Gunner kind of floated it by him a couple of times. I was like, "This ain't happening." I'm like, yeah, whatever. Finally, he's like, "Hey, you want to sit down and talk?" I'm like, yeah. And videos the whole. I mean, we had it set up so like if he just decides,
right,
like it's a done deal.
Right, we're ready.
And we sat for like 40 something minutes.
That's awesome.
We talked about the origin of all the Rambos, all the Rockies, and it was just like as a little kid, like you and I.
This is fantastic.
It was like I'm getting to hear the origin story of why you did certain things. And what I was thinking with your books, they're always so socially, politically, newsworthy, relevant to whatever's happening.
You might see that I collaborate with Ironclad on a lot of different projects. In fact, I have worked with them on my book trailers, this podcast, as well as a few other exciting endeavors that are currently in development. Ironclad teams up with some of the biggest brands in the world to create dynamic films, series, podcasts, and ad campaigns. If you are a brand or individual looking to elevate your content or start a podcast, don't hesitate to reach out through their website. This is ironclad.com, and make sure you follow them on all major platforms at This Is Ironclad.
I didn't realize that's how Rambos were. And that's what he was even saying. Maybe you've heard this before. He's like, if you notice, Rambo was always one step in old world and one step in whatever was happening. And so it was, it was the post-Vietnam. So he was in that, during First Blood. And then the next one there was, going back. And then there was Afghanistan. And then, it goes all the way to human trafficking. And so he's like, if you look at it, everything is always kind of what is happening in the news now, that Rambo has one foot in each world, and he's kind of trying to navigate himself. So he gave me like the whole background behind, and I was just thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, you love this conversation.
I would love to have been there.
Yeah, and so we were talking. It was kind of wild. So, I asked him. I said, "What were your roots of your strength conditioning?" And he said that he had watched the movie Hercules Unchained.
Yeah, and
he was 9 or 10 years old. He went to a matinee during the middle of the day. I think it's by himself, whatever it was, and how the story goes anyway. And he said, when who was it that played in them? I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, but
he basically Charles Atlas kind of. I can't remember the name, but anyway, when he holds up the pillars, he goes, it was everything I wanted to be. Wow. It was masculine. It was confident. It was capable. It was saving the day. It was strong. It was all the things. And he goes, I think it was Steve Reeves. And yeah, Steve Reeves. And he said, he goes, it looked like he was up there for 4 minutes in that pose. He goes, I looked later, and he goes, it was about a second and a half. He goes, but in my mind, it was burned in.
Could have held it forever.
He goes, this is what I wanted to be as a man. This is what I saw as a man. He said, I left, and I was walking home, and I walked past a junkyard, and I started picking up chains and axles in the yard. And that was the first time I lifted weights. And then I decided I wanted to be strong. Dude. And I was just like,
it's awesome.
Holy crap. And so we had this interesting moment. I said, well, I'm going to kind of tell you something. I said, so when I was 10 years old, 1985, my dad took me to First Blood. I was 9, actually. First Blood Part 2. I said, you walking out with all the scars on your back and all the whole like super jacked. I was like, that so was awesome. My Charles Atlas.
Yeah.
And I go, and I left that actual movie, went to Jeffrey Archery and my first bow.
Nice.
That day.
That's cool.
And he looked at me like, you've got to be crazy. He literally teared up.
Yeah.
And I said, and the crazy part is, I have a bow in my car downstairs right now because I had my bow that I was going to Jocko's.
No way.
And he was like, you're still shooting and lifting? And I was like, that was my Charles Atlas moment.
Amazing.
And it was so to be able to like tell one of your muses, like, this is like, hey, thanks.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it was a wild, like, it was strange. It actually took him back a little bit too, because he was kind of like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I wasn't the normal guy, like, oh, you're so great, like all the time normal stuff. Like we were having just a really good conversation about strength and conditioning and the physical journey and the strenuous life, and to hear his roots of how his world shook out from strength training. So it was like one of those, like, you don't get those opportunities a whole heck of a lot.
No. Dude, I love that story. That is fantastic.
Yeah. I'll post it at some point. Well, hopefully if we ever get the movie done.
Yeah. Maybe I might come out and visit you. We'll listen to it or something like that.
Well, I'd love to have you on it.
And it'll be amazing.
I still have some people I'm trying to
start doing some pull-ups.
And so I almost got Dolph Lundgren the same day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had to get down to Jocko's, but Dolph was training this, and I was like, dude, if I could get Rocky and Ivan,
that'd be crazy.
It'd be wild.
Yeah, amazing.
The little kid in me was losing my mind.
Man, yeah, I don't get starstruck, often, but that's Rocky and Rambo. I mean, what are you gonna do?
It's Rocky and Rambo. Yeah.
I mean, like that's the foundation of my childhood.
Sure. And I know we were talking about John Milius at one point.
Yeah, John Milius.
And I actually shot him an email one day, about a year ago.
Really?
I sent it through his daughter, Amanda. Yeah. And just like, hey man, like,
do you know Amanda, or did you?
We went back and forth on DMs. Nice. And she gave me. Do you know her?
No, just through through social.
And we went back and forth, and I kind of said, hey, your dad's awesome, and I said I'd love to send him an email, and so she gave me her email, and I assume
that's so awesome.
Maybe she sent it to him.
Yeah,
at some point.
Sure.
I never heard back or whatever, which was fine. But I want to tell the guy, like,
legend.
Hey, man, like,
I'll show you something inside. I'll show you after this. I'll show you a little. A lot of people don't know that he wrote a book. And I have it inside.
No way.
I have the old one. Yeah, I think from the 70s, I want to say, late 70s maybe. I might be off on that a little bit. But anyway, around that time frame. Yeah. I'll show you inside.
So you figure, like, when our lives.
Fiction.
Like Stallone, I would say Schwarzenegger, certainly to an extent. And Milius.
Oh, yeah. Genius, Milius.
I mean, those are some of, and those who don't know who John Milius is, go check it.
And people don't know how his impact on, film in general, but Apocalypse Now, people don't know that he was in.
He created the term
there, and that he's obviously Red Dawn, and but everything that he did. I wish he did more. Did you know that he? When you say he was going to, or almost, or I heard that, who knows really, right?
Yeah.
But I think he was at one point either, let's say, not attached, because that sounds too official even, but there was talk of him directing, or writing and directing, I think, or at least writing the screenplay adaptation of Without Remorse.
No way.
Back when Without Remorse came out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So period specific, like period appropriate, instead of, they modernized it for the adaptation they did a couple years ago. But how cool would that have been?
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, just the body of work is, I know we probably talked about it last time, but you start looking at, like, Dirty Hair. I mean, coming up with if the same guy who made up Go Ahead, Make My Day.
Oh, wow.
That was his line. And I mean, for all the Dirty Harry stuff, created the term Apocalypse Now and all that, wrote the USS Indianapolis scene from Jaws, Red Dawn, Uncommon Valor, Big Wednesday, which is a funny story about Big Wednesday. Have you ever heard that?
I feel like I have, but what is it?
Yes, I think it was he and George Lucas.
Because he was a surfer down there. They're living in that area.
Yeah. Sure. So he and George Lucas were buddies. So I think it was Lucas and I can't remember who else the third, but they were like the three amigos. And so he was making Big Wednesday. Lucas was making Star Wars.
Jan Michael Vincent, for anybody listening, of Airwolf fame.
Yeah.
For our generation,
making Star Wars. They traded stock.
Really?
Yeah. So they were both making their movies. Lucas was in love with Big Wednesday. He's like, dude, this movie is gonna be so big. And he's like, it's going to be way bigger than Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
And so they traded stock options in it. So they gave each other like a little bit.
Really?
Just like kind of the funny gentleman's bet. And it's like, I laugh. It's like,
cool.
The best bet of all time.
Yeah,
got
seriously.
Part of Star Wars.
That's not bad.
For Big Wednesday.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So now if you ever get a chance, I know you should probably watch it, the movie Milius.
No, I haven't watched it yet.
It's amazing.
Because it came out. When did it come out? Because I think I was like just getting into all
13,
the. 13. It came out that long
like
ago.
That.
Man,
but
I can't believe I haven't watched that.
Like the whole.
Thank you for reminding me.
It's like an hour or something, but it gives like the whole background with, you got Oliver Stone, you got
talking about how his influence.
Yeah, and basically he got blacklisted from Hollywood. They said after Red Dawn he was too right at guns and whatever, and so he got blacklisted. So all those guys would pay him to write their dialogues. He's like, if we had to make a guy sound like a guy, we would call him.
We don't know how to do that.
Seriously, they were saying, they're like, no
hilarious.
one wrote a story like John did. They go, so he was like our guilty pleasure behind scenes guy. They're like, hey, does this sound like how dudes would talk? And he's like, no, they would do this. And they go, okay. And so they would put it in their movies. And a lot of times they wouldn't give him credit.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And so you're like, holy cow, like he's the cool masculine part of Hollywood.
Man.
Like, kind of one of the last, the Lone Rangers of that they were like, oh, we all like utilized him.
Man, I met him at Safari Club or Dallas Safari Club or Safari Club International, one of those two. Anyway, so I got to meet him a few years ago. We have a mutual friend.
He can't talk yet. So he can't talk anymore.
I think there's some issue. Yeah, back then it was starting, and
he had a stroke. They were saying, and then I mean, what a heartbreaker when you have a guy that's such a good storyteller can't tell a story.
Man,
it's just it. I mean, we need more of his work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I know. Man, I gotta watch that movie. I've been meaning to watch it.
It's wonderful.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I got to meet him, which was huge for me to be able to meet him. I was still in the SEAL teams at the time.
Oh, cool.
And so I got to meet him, and the person that introduced us had a connection to the SEAL teams, and so there was that connection.
Was a Dallas Safari Club.
Dallas Safari Club or Safari Club International. I don't know if I've conflated the two because sometimes they look similar,
right.
Different locations, but yeah, so it was great to meet him. Actually, the guy that introduced us actually passed through here the other day, and I'll show you something else after this that kind of relates to what we're talking about that I think you'll like. Oh man, yeah, Milius, amazing. Gosh, so Stallone. So I don't get starstruck often. I try to be respectful to everybody and thoughtful and all that stuff. But Stallone's camp reached out and wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, oh man, like I'm so excited. Like I'm like, cool. What? Are you kidding me? And so we set up a call right at that table right there, and my computer set up, and I'm like, oh man, try not to totally nerd out or geek out or like I did want to let him know what an impact he had on me as a kid, and so I did want to do that, but I wanted to do it in a way that wasn't creepy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. And I hope I didn't do it creepy. I most likely did.
No, it's sincere. It's the way you described it, sincere. I was sincere. I know, and but I also had my phone on the side, so I'm like. We're having this call, and I'm like, I gotta capture this. I'm like trying to, as we're talking and we're going through the what we're talking about. I'm taking pictures like on the side. Like I'm like, hope you can't see this. Like I'm trying to, and I want to take a bunch because I want to make sure that he's not in the middle of a sentence or like sure. So I wanted one of them to be cool. So I was like, taking a ton of photos.
Please tell me he's going to do a cameo sometime.
He was so awesome. I'll tell you, he was humble. Yes. He was wise. He was kind. He was funny.
Yes.
Amazing. Like he exceeded all expectations of what you want your childhood hero to be like. He exceeded all those expectations.
Yes.
And it was really, really cool.
So often they don't. But Stallone is one of those that is way better in person than even like brilliant.
Oh, just so smart. He's an incredible screenwriter.
Super high IQ, super high EQ. I mean, first time we met, we were in there and we're talking about something, and he goes into old style bare knuckle boxing from the early 1800s and historically knew locations, fighters, and then he went into 1970s arm wrestling champions and knew everybody, and it was just like
over the top. Yeah, I did over the top of my little guy. We do that when we arm wrestle over the top. You can't go over the top. I'm going over the top.
Exactly.
So
but you can tell, like, he's a historian that happens to, much like yourself, historian that reads up on what he likes, and then he makes movies and books about it.
Amazing.
And you go, oh, wow, like, that was just really, really interesting. And I guess because I'm a bit of a story myself with that. Like we had a connection. Yeah. And so we were talking about like, Cleve Dean, the pig farmer from wherever, who was a 400-pound, arm wrestling world champion, and just random stuff like that, and just had a ball. But man, what an interesting guy.
Oh yeah. No, he was awesome. He was awesome. So I think I can say this. So I wrote not a script, but a treatment for something specifically for him. So I had an idea before that call. I didn't know where it was going to work into all the things that I have going on, all the different projects I have going on. But we talked a little bit in that call, and then afterward I took this idea and built it out into a treatment specific to him. And so he has it, and, I think he has it. But anyway, I sent it to my agent, whatever. Yeah. So probably never happened. There's how many thousands of options that he has, but this one's pretty cool. This one's pretty cool. So, if we could ever do something like that, that would be amazing. If not, it was awesome just to be able to jump on an hour-long Zoom and hear him talk. And I just listened. I was just a sponge, and talking to yourself on the little business side of Hollywood and the entertainment industry and all that. So he's passing on some knowledge and some wisdom, and I'm just soaking it all in. And it was really special for me to spend some time with him, just even if it was Zoom,
Yeah, that's amazing.
It'd be rad if we got to do it though. It's a movie treatment, so not a series. So yeah, movies treatment, hour and a half, 2 hour, and it's pretty legit. I'll tell you about it after.
Yeah, that would be the amazing coming around.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's just that stuff, man. It's just so great.
Yeah. Oh man, too cool. Too cool. I also wanted to ask you about not Total Archery Challenge, but we did Total Archery Challenge a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we sure did.
And we'll do that again. Bring the kids out there in the future at some point. Shoot the course here, but SIG Hunter Games. You did that.
Yeah, sure did. You did too.
I did it on the year that didn't have snow.
The snow year was interesting.
Yeah, so I did the first year,
the hot year,
and it was awesome. Yeah, amazing. Out here, just down the road in Wyoming. So it was just a drive.
Yeah, what ranch is that?
I don't remember the name of it, but I think they have a hunting operation there,
you
right?
can get hunts there.
Yeah. I was
thinking about trying to book there.
Yeah, beautiful spot.
Yeah.
And easy, just down the road, take a right, head off, and it's a beautiful spot. But the year I did it was the first year they did it, and it was really cool. And we ended up getting second, which was awesome.
Nice. Who was on your team?
So I had Bullet Valentina was my team. So it was just the two of us, a guide, and then you have a range safety person who's taking your scores and all that stuff. That was Kevin Holland, who's a legend in special operations.
Awesome. He spoke at Summer Strong this past year.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
What a cool guy.
Wildly cool guy.
I mean, so laid back and just awesome. I mean, we got to spend some time together recently with Winkler, and then went up to Kevin's house and just spent some time with him and his family, and just I can't say enough great things about Kevin Holland.
Yeah, I need to. He and I text each other all the time, like trying to get together for a hunt or something, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Such a solid day. Same thing. I was supposed to meet him last 2 years in a row with Kyle Lamb up in Montana, and I just had too much going on. It's always right when I'm doing in the meat of the novel, and I just can't.
Too many books, man.
Oh man, I just got to get on a better schedule. I think that opens up the fall a little more. That's really the heavy time to write.
Yeah.
With this current schedule, because of what deadlines to turn it in to get it ready for publication, for a publication date in the spring.
Is that kind of what they do, spring publications?
For mine, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, when I started out, they just looked at what books were coming out when, and I'm brand new and no one knows me. And looks like for the first one was March. So they're like, it looks like March. So, okay. So we put it March. Next one was April. So they just look at what books are coming out and try to, if they have an author who's in the same genre, they don't want to put you guys coming out in the same month, same week. So they want to space you out. And sometimes who has books coming out. Sometimes you don't. Like Stephen King will just drop a book sometimes, and you're like, I can't do anything about that. I can't avoid that one.
That's a big one.
Let's say that Michael Connelly's going to have something coming out in the fall. Lee Child is going to have something coming out in the fall. John Grisham is going to have something coming out in the fall. Daniel Silva is going to have something coming out in the summer. So people kind of, those names, James Patterson has something coming out every month, so you can't really do anything about that either. But some of those established authors have they have their time when they usually come out. And sometimes Michael Connelly will drop another one in the spring. Wow. He's amazing. And I got to meet him, which was such an honor for me just a few months ago. And what a kind guy. Amazing. For people who haven't watched Bosch Legacy or read the books, Michael Connelly is just incredible. And such a solid person, such a good guy. So it was really cool to be able to meet him. So for me, I like my spring time for publication, other than the fact that I'm really in the meat of it during the fall.
Yeah. Because I would wonder, does that mean? I mean, potentially people of spring, they're about to go on to summer, they're sitting on a beach, or they're doing vacation-y, reading books. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, like spring break-ish, or start of summer type thing for mine.
And a lot of your listener or readers are probably hunting during the fall.
Yeah, a lot of people, I get so many pictures from tree stands, people up there reading the books, which I love, or they're listening to it as they drive to and from, their hunting location, or if they're on a road trip to get somewhere, they're listening to it with their hunting buddies. And, that's such an honor for me. And I just, I love getting those pictures, and people tag me, and it's really, really cool, really special. But yeah, that's kind of how it works as far as publication dates. And I do like my spring publication date. Now it's May, so I went March, April, and now it's in May. So I think it's a good time for my books to come out. It feels right. To me, but who knows? Maybe it'll move to summer at some point, or something will shift, because there are a lot of other projects in the works right now that haven't been announced yet. But we'll see how they all go.
Well, then you have to just hunt Africa more. So it's
the
winter, the May.
You can do that, or you go down to Argentina, which I did, or you go down to somewhere else. That maybe someplace you're hunting because it's exotics. Even here, got to Lanai. Got to Lanai.
I haven't done Lanai yet. That sounds fun.
Well, that's So me and a few other guys have a hunting operation out there called Pineapple Brothers.
Oh, is that yours?
Killer. Me and John Dubin, and
I've heard about it. I just didn't.
It's a good spot. It's definitely, I don't know if it's good to introduce kids to hunting through Lanai, because there are very few places to stay, meaning you're staying at the Four Seasons. So for our little one, the guy who inside, for him to hunt out there, it's not bad, but it's also very unique. And I don't know if I want him to get used to, we'll go out and hunt in the morning. Look at all these axis deer everywhere. Awesome. Get a great axis, come back. You're having breakfast at the Four Seasons, lying by the pool. Like, I don't know how wise that is to make the kids think that that's hunting. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's great for kids also, because it's a good introduction. Sure. If they're kind of nervous about it, or if you don't want them to be just freezing in a tree stand and then come out and hating it because of that. And some people will come out and love it. I love being up there. It was all, but some might not. Anyway, I don't know. Every family's different. Every situation's different. And
next time I go to Hawaii, I'd like to. I'll hit you up and try to figure out what's the move. To do it all.
Absolutely, it's a good family vacation if you have family members who don't hunt, because you can go together.
They get together 4 seasons.
Exactly. You're still together, and they have ropes courses, and they have a really cool archery setup and shotgun. Way. Yeah, you got the sporting clays. It's up the road, but it's part of the whole thing. Yeah. The sporting clays on Lanai is beautiful.
Really?
Absolutely beautiful, because you're taking these shots, and there's the ocean. You have the beautiful Pacific Ocean is right there. And it's like there's 3 different temperate zones, and one of them up there is kind of the jungly mountainous one. Mm-hmm. And so it's just these like cliffs dropping down into these valleys, but right here's the ocean because you're so close. And so it seems like you're shooting out over the ocean. You're not. You're shooting out over the range, which, sporting clays is pretty close. Right. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And you go to each station, and it's just a really cool experience. Wow. So, but it's great. So even if you have someone in the family doesn't like that, guess what? You and the boy or your daughter, whatever, you're going up there and you're doing that, coming back and having lunch together. Then you're going to the pool or whatever whatever you want to do that day. Go down to the beach. But there's options. So it's not like the family that does part of the family that's not hunting isn't stuck like in this lodge where they're just like, oh, here's a TV in the corner and there's football on.
HBO.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
that's cool. Yeah, we were in Kona this year with Danny Bolton and Neil Kamimura. And we went down and stayed. We were staying up in the mountains, so we were hunting and goofing around on their farm.
Nice.
And but then we took the girls a couple days down to Four Seasons down there, and that's pretty nice little jaunt there.
Not bad.
Yeah, I'm not used to that.
Not too shabby. But I like the kids to have the full,
sure.
So that we used to have a lease in Texas in Red River County, so it's right there on the Oklahoma border. So there's no fences up there in that part of Texas, and right there on the Oklahoma border, right there on the Red River, and that's kind of more more like what we're talking about, you know,
Right.
like have a little
That's what I'm
old
used to.
school. And
Yeah.
and that's awesome. My daughter got to do that every year, growing up. And so that was really special. Our son did it once, and then things got crazy and we moved and all that. But it's, it's a good spot. I like the kids having that kind of an experience.
Yes.
Because they're around other people that also are there kind of for the same reasons, or they've been coming there for so many years, and that's your time to link up, and you're waking up early and grabbing a coffee and a stick of beef jerky, whatever. You're getting out there, and it's dark and it's cold, and you're figuring out where you're going, and you're getting into the tree stand. You're trying not to make any noise, or you're like, you built maybe a little high the day before or whatever, and you're kind of sneaking in there and trying to get in there, and then you're waiting for the sun to come up, and he's looking or she's looking, and it's just it's a different type of experience. So I like all those different. I think it's good to expose, to as many different types of hunting as possible.
Yeah, my kids are starting to get now. I mean, we have a lease in our farm, so we're doing kind of the same thing. Nice. You know, it's like, we could sleep at home, but we go out, get up early, and do the whole thing, and sneak around and we have a couple box blinds but it's like a clown car. It's like me and the 3 kids in there, and it's just like, I never knew kids could be so loud, and I want them to be quiet, but we strangely always see stuff, so it's pretty wild. But
it's really cool. My daughter got her first deer out there.
Oh, cool.
So that's it's a good spot. But right here, down the street, Wyoming, with Bullet Valentini. I'll tell you what. So I've been. That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yep.
And I've been writing a lot lately on all these different projects. So I prioritized those projects, these books, at the top of the list, and I put working out and everything else at the bottom, meaning I'm not getting to that because I need to get back to it. But anyway, I'm doing all that. So I went out there, and now I'm hiking through these mountains with Bullet Valentina, and she is just crushing it. And I'm like, so luckily we got second place.
Got second. I mean,
so that's
you ain't
good.
fooling around. That is a monster of a.
And we beat the other military team that had a bunch of snipers on it. So that was good. Yeah, they got third. We got second. The guys that won, I think it was a bass fisherman, like a BMX racer, like somebody you wouldn't expect to win. And it wasn't close. Like they really. They did a great job. It was really, it was fun.
I heard the year before, because I didn't know much about it. And a couple of weeks before, they were like, maybe somebody good couldn't make it, so they were like, "Hey, Bert, you want to come?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so they're like, "Oh yeah, like some bass guy won last year." I'm like, and then that was good, because there's a chance.
It's possible.
There's a chance for an underdog.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. The shots were great. I think it was like you show up one day and get sighted in. Right, we use the cross rifle. Everybody has a cross rifle with the. Rifle. Did you use is it the BDX? Is that
BDX.
It's a BDX system. So you're ranging it with the binos, and it's Bluetooth to the scope. Is that right, or it's in the scope?
Ours had the rangefinder. Shot it to the scope,
in the scope.
And then the binos were the vibration.
Yeah, and it worked great. It's awesome. And I was worried. I'm like, it's something else that can not work if does it get wet or frozen or whatever else. It worked. I was super impressed with it. It was amazing. My whole group, it worked for everybody. And so we went out there first day, meet everybody, have the dinner, sight in, and then the next day you get up, shoot that cannon, and then off you go. And you're starting at these different everybody starts at a different station, and then off, and then you go. And I forget, was it 10 minutes between or 15 or I don't remember what it was, but
it was, I think 20 maybe to get to, but it was like a mile or so between. I know ours.
And there was one that had a steep, they called it Cardiac Hill.
That one was a rough one. It went
the second day especially.
It went like 12 or 1,500 feet vertical in like a mile.
Yeah.
And you had like 20 or 30 minutes to do it, but it topped out at 10,000.
It was
brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. I made it, but Valentina made it way in front of me. I definitely realized, especially the second day, okay, I know how much time I have. I know how much time it took yesterday for that particular hill. Everything else was fine.
Sure.
But that particular hill, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take it nice and easy up here. I'm going to just pace myself. I'm going to, Valentina will shoot first. So she can get there. She can start shooting. So by the time I'm getting up there, maybe she's on her second shot or something. I just kind of take a breath for a second. I'll get down in position and boom. And so luckily it all worked out really well. But that was the only one that was like close from a time perspective.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So we had a couple. Ours this year, we had the same one, but when you got to the top, it had a workout.
Oh,
it didn't.
Thank goodness I did not do this,
dude. The guys from Mountain Tuff were there.
Oh, nice,
dude.
They're sending me because I have the app, Mountain Tuff app.
Yeah, they did great.
But for me, I think I just missed the generation of having everything like app.
Yeah.
So I texted him last week. I'm like, hey, can you just print something and send it to me, or send me something I can just print out so I can just have paper out there rather than have my phone, because there's just too many things that can come across there.
Yeah.
And I don't want it. I not that near me.
Well, that's where Aaron Osmus and I started the pen and paper strength app about 7 or 8 years ago. And it was a joke because we were old. We were in our 40s and we're used to paper. So our pen and paper strength app is he writes a workout on a piece of paper, takes a picture of it, puts it on Instagram.
Oh, perfect.
So just do that. Yeah. It is every day handwritten, right?
I mean, the Mountain Tough thing is awesome.
Oh, it is.
It's those different workouts that they have, and
they're
whether you
beasts.
have weighted or not, all those different things. And it's really well thought out. I'm really impressed with what I've seen from them.
So we topped out that hill, and
and there's a workout.
It was snowing and the whole deal when we were doing it, and it was just Screwsville, right? You remember.
Well, I didn't have the snow.
So we
get the workout.
We get to the top, and they're like, all right, dump your packs, 5 minutes, workout starts. We're like, wait, what?
Oh, it was a surprise.
Yeah, didn't know it. So we jump up there, and the workout was 15 straight minutes. You have a 60-yard uphill sprint. You lay on the gun. You have one shot to about 140-something yard gong. As soon as you roll the bolt, the next guy could come running up the hill, and it was how many shots can you get off in 15 minutes? So it was just wind sprints for 15 minutes up a hill. And so, the next guy would come and then you run down, but it got worked out by about the time you got back down the hill, you had about 15 seconds before you had to run back up the hill. Dang. And it was 15 straight minutes of that at 10,000.
Brutal.
It's
some people are flying in from sea level.
Me, 200 feet elevation.
Yeah.
And if you just taste blood in your mouth, you're like, this is just great, and muddy and snowy. And it was,
that sounds awesome. If I'd been training up for it, I need to get back
I
into it.
trained
That's amazing.
some, but you can't train if you're at 200 elevation, there's not a lot you could do. So it was cool though. We ended up winning that little section.
Oh, nice. Good.
So
Who was on your team?
So Corey Jacobson was our kind of
nice.
pro
from
Elk 101.
Yeah.
Super awesome guy. Hoist Gracie.
Nice.
And then
Hoist was so cool.
Hoist is awesome.
Oh, man.
Hoist is awesome.
So
Just a
humble.
beast.
Gosh.
And then Kendall Gray. So Kendall is like this YouTuber guy, 22 years old, young guy. He's kind of like a dude perfect kind of dude of a YouTuber. Started hunting years in high school, whatever, and started a YouTube channel of hey man, I'm just this Kentucky kid. I want to hunt and fish and shoot guns, and I'm going to instruct people how to do it. Or as I learn how to do it, I'm just going to take you along on the ride. Dude has hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube, puts out awesome content. All this stuff is just, so what I hear is there's some Kindle YouTuber coming. I'm thinking that it's some, I hate to say Barbie gun girl YouTuber. I'm like, this is going to be great. And so this little skinny Kentucky kid, 22 years old, shows up. He's like, hey guys, just real nice. I'm like, oh boy, dude was a beast.
Nice.
Dude shot like a monster. Cool. He could run with Corey. He could shoot well. He was a total asset on the team. He was awesome. And cool. the good attitude, always just uptick,
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of had this ragtag team of people.
Nice.
So it was fun.
Yeah, no, it's a great time, but I can't believe they threw a surprise workout in there.
That was horrible.
Man,
you do the hardest hike of your life, and then you're like, oh, no, it's a workout. It's wind sprints.
Oh man, I'm now really glad that something came up and I could do it. That's why. Did they have the bear charge you too, and with the pistol?
No, I saw that we had to walk through the woods, and we had a pack of wolves, but it was timed.
Multiple shots?
Multiple. So
with the pistol.
Yes, you had a magazine, and you had 15 wolves and whatever, and I think you had one or two magazines.
Oh, nice.
So it was but you had it timed.
Was it the 10 mil? Because they have the new 10 mil that came out.
It could have been. I thought it was a 45 we shot.
Yeah,
from what I remember.
Okay.
But it was really cool, and you couldn't see them all. I mean, you had to change levels and work your way through.
Oh, nice.
And so
that's cool.
Yeah. So if you didn't get them all, you were attacked, and then if you got them all, it was how many misses did you have, or the time, and it was really cool. It was It was a cool event. I think they told our group that the average shot was 288 yards.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess that was pretty much the same as ours.
Yeah, probably similar, I would think. So it was, how many average shots, 288 yards. And they had all the diagnostics, like how many miles walked, how many shots taken. It was just some astronomical numbers,
Man, that was really cool. But you had different weather. So mine was hot. And it was fine.
It was 90 degrees when we showed up.
When you showed up at 90, and then is it the next morning?
Next morning, it was 3 inches of snow.
3 inches of snow, and this is June for people listening.
It was June or July. I mean, it went from.
I think it was mid-June.
I had a pair of shorts on when I showed up. I was like, oh, this is hot. And I got there late, so I didn't get to shoot the first day.
Okay, so you didn't sight in.
And they're like, oh, we got a gun that's close. And so right before we left, they ran me out. They're like, I took one shot. They're like, you got it? I'm like, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, with that system, you can get away with that. And with the cross being able to adjust everything, you can get away with that.
Yeah, so I just kind of hung out at camp and tried to get the gun right. And so I was kind of like learning the BDX as we were going. But yeah, no, we woke up 3 inches of snow on the ground. And
didn't you take a video in your tent? No, it was like crushing your tent.
Oh yeah. So I was sitting there sleeping
because I think there were 3-season tents that they were
3-season tents. That is accurate. And Andy Stump's tent broke.
Yeah.
Trying to think who else.
You should have set it up right.
There was a number of people whose tents just blew out on them. Like they were just screwed, and the tents were just laying on their heads. And when I was sitting there sleeping, I just started, and like I could hear it.
Did you know it was snowing, or did you wake up and realize
I did
that this tent is different than it was when I went to sleep?
I smelled the snow, and I was like, it might be kind of dusting. But I didn't think much of it because it was like, whatever. And about 2 a.m, like my tent hit me in the face, and it was a split second before the poles broke, and it was like I just reflexively just punched it off of me, and then I was like, okay, the tent's good. I was like, whoa, it was full of snow, and then so I was like, oh crap. So I kind of slept and then just kind of tried to wake myself up every 30 minutes to punch the snow off the top. And so my tent survived, but I mean, you could hear tents just snapping all around us, and guys like, oh man, beep, 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 beep,
Wow.
And so I think Stump had to I think he left and got a hotel or something because he was just like, there's nowhere to sleep. So I don't know, man. It was a bitch though.
Take on this holiday season with the help of Navy Federal Credit Union. When you use the Navy Federal Cash Rewards card, you can earn up to 1.75 cash back on all purchases. You can redeem your rewards as soon as you earn them. And using the Navy Federal mobile app makes redeeming easier than ever. Enjoy the rewards of cash back without any annual fee, balance transfer, or foreign transaction fees. There are no limitations on rewards, and they never expire while your account is open. Learn how you can get cheer to last all year with the Cash Rewards card at NavyFederal.org. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA, rates are variable and range between 14.90% and 18% APR based on credit worthiness. ATM fees for cash advances are up to $1 at non-Navy Federal ATMs. Message and data rates may apply. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information. Let me tell you about First Form. They have amazing products. My personal favorites are the protein sticks and the Micro Factor Daily Nutrient Packs. And why do I like them so much? Because First Form makes it super easy to get quality protein and nutrients on the go. And I always seem to be on the go. While their products are top-notch quality, what I like the most about them are their values. First Form is so much more than a supplement company. They are deeply committed to both American jobs and your personal well-being. At First Form, they value people. In fact, the only thing they've automated is a tape machine, a symbol of their dedication to providing jobs and making lives better. They care about employing people, nurturing their growth, and genuinely improving lives. Their mission is simple. First Form is there to help you reach your fitness and wellness goals. They believe in a partnership where, if you meet them halfway, they'll help you make progress. Go to firstform.com/Jack Carr to receive free shipping on any orders over $75. That's STPHORM.com/Jack Carr. Once again, that's STPHORM.com/Jack Carr. PHORM.com/Jack Carr and receive free shipping on any orders over $75.
Wow. You woke up and you're like, oh, so I'm sleeping on the ground all night. It was 90. I'm used to 200 elevation. It's 7,500.
Oh, you're paying the man.
And now you're paying the man. Yeah. And then it's 3 inches of snow. You're like, oh, this is going to be sweet.
Dang.
And then day 2, the snow started melting. So then the roads just turned to grease, like black grease.
Yeah.
And then we had one iteration where we had an extra heavy pack. So our normal packs. And then one, they put like 100 pounds in us extra. And then, but like it had been raining, all the snow melt. So it was like the sandbags were not 100 pounds anymore.
Oh, wow.
And that put me on Screw Street. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
And you're in amazing shape. If someone's not,
I'm okay shape.
If someone is not watching this, but listening, Bert is in amazing shape. Yeah. So some people though, I could not have been in as good shape as you are.
I would think not. But
like by looking,
yeah, you would think not.
Like Andy's in great shape. You're in great shape. Like the
Mike
MMA
Glover
guys are going to be in great shape.
Yeah.
But some people probably not in as good shape.
Yeah, that's accurate.
And that probably really hurt them.
You would think. You know who killed it was Laura Zera, Margot. Like they're a bunch of CrossFit people, but they're beasts.
Doesn't she live like in like?
I think that was the key. The people who lived at least at that kind of elevation, but
not live at elevate. But she's tough. Didn't she do like survival stuff?
Yeah, for sure. She's tougher than nails. But for me, like the hardest part in that iteration was when we were walking. It was like walking on axle grease. So my hips and my groin and my glutes got so just over fatigued, and maybe because I am carrying more muscle, like the lactic acid buildup in it seized my glutes up where they just didn't work,
dude.
And so I looked over at Hoist and I was like, I can't move my effing glutes won't fire. Like I can't physically walk forward. It wasn't like
with that weight when you put that weight on.
Yeah, well, we were just walking. It was in. I think the pack was sitting right on my butt, so it was like so my gait pattern was like this weird gait pattern. But I started getting so fatigued through my hips, and he and I looked at each other, and he's like, "Dude, I can't move either." And we were just kind of standing there, so I had to do this like weird glide drop walk where I would kind of like drop the center of gravity and kind of swoop forward, and then I was like, holy shit, this isn't going to work.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I my lungs and whatever are burning, but like mechanically things aren't working right now. And so it was awesome. Like the teammates, Corey and Kendall, we were probably a couple hundred yards from the finish line. They ran back, offloaded my pack. I grabbed my rifle, my ammo. I grabbed some stuff out of Hoist's pack. They grabbed Hoist's and gave us a break just where we could get our legs walking again. Wow. They pulled us through the finish line, and then we got in, but it was awesome. That was to show the strength of a team. And then we got in, but by the time we got in, I had walked unloaded, so my breath was back. And so they had started finding targets, and I just laid right on the gun. We cleaned out those targets. I pushed my elbows into the soft mud, pushed my bipod into the mud, and literally picked up Hoist's rifle, put it in my footprints, put his elbows in my elbow holes, ran laser for him. He cleaned out his target. The next guys were, and then they said we were the only group to clean all those targets on the whole thing. So it was cool going from like total Screwsville to like we pulled it off, but it was the team picking up, and I hate to say like I was a weak link at that point. And it was like, but it was.
I'm not buying this story. I don't think that you'll ever be a weak link anywhere.
Yeah, it worked out.
Man, yeah, that was a cool scenario. But I think maybe the Hildeberg tents might have been the way to go. The ones that like 4-season, super strong. Maybe somebody waking up else up saying, "Hey, we need to shovel off these tents."
Yeah, the Nemo like super light. I mean, now this tent is badass. Of course they give you the stuff afterwards, and I used the tent last weekend because it's awesome. It weighs like no pounds. Yeah. But snow is not the move for that tent.
No.
It's like,
I think we had the same one. We had a Nemo, but I took it home and it got wet, I guess. Anyway, when I packed it up, I think it was wet. So I came home, put it together again, put it in the backyard in the sun to dry it out, and the dog got in it and ripped it to shreds. Yeah, like got in there. I don't know if she freaked out in there or because I had it open, so wind would go through and whatever. And the dog got in there and started just playing. And just destroyed it with those nails, just because it was super lightweight tent, right? Super lightweight. So just done.
Yeah. That's it's almost too lightweight, but it's it's an awesome tent.
Yeah.
It's just,
don't put your dog in it and let your dog like turn it into a dog toy,
or let it blizzard on top of it.
Yep, maybe. Wake up, dust it off, keep it dusted off.
Yeah, punch it out. It was cool. It was kind of cool though. So I wore my watch the whole week and watched my heart rate and everything. And so I always find that interesting when I come up, whether hunted Deseret or wherever, keeping up with my recovery, just more than anything, just trying to learn, just data points. And it was funny. I was looking on my diagnostics. And I was like, in the red zone of, all the, heart rate was super high, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like looking at it, it's Sunday morning at like 6:30 a.m. I'm like, what the heck was I doing? I was like doing the math. I was like, oh, right. I got up and put my boots on and took a leak.
Oh, wow.
And so I was so overtrained and so overtaxed by 2 days of that, like in the snow and just going hard.
Yeah.
Like, it was like comp mode. Of course, you remember, right?
Yeah.
and especially being in altitude and everything, my body was just like, F you, we are done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
even without the snow, I was feeling it. But it was such a good time. And that dinner the last night, we had a great time. And you're meeting some really cool people out there.
So fun.
Yeah, Bullet and I had a great time. And I saw her at UFC fight when me and Chris Pratt and Jocko and Monica Garrett, and we flew out there for the day or the day after the Terminalist came out. So Terminalist sponsored the UFC fight in Vegas. So we all went out there, and Valentina was up in the front area right there. So we got to see her, and that was really awesome. But I love the Cross, and I hadn't had a rifle like that, like a hunting rifle with the folding stock like that. And I was kind of like, And then I used it. I'm like, oh, I love the folding stock now. It is so convenient for putting it in the pack, putting it in the car, putting it in the safe. Like, it is very convenient to have that folding stock.
Yes, especially when you're running a can, because then its overall size is still, you have that little SIG can, and then you fold that stock in, and you're still like carbine length.
Yeah. It's
Super
nice.
Light, balances.
I'm a fan. The whole rifle is light. Like you can find some, like I have a Rifle Zinc that's kind of my go-to 300 Win Mag.
Yeah. That
thing is light. And I've been using it for over a decade now. And it is super, super light. And I like a light rifle. I like a heavy pistol for some reason. I don't know why. I like a heavy pistol, but a light rifle. So I have a really light Rifle Zinc, amazing rifle. Oh, I absolutely love that thing. The Cross, way less expensive than that super custom titanium. Like, it's incredible.
All the stuff.
The SIG, like, it's close to being, I mean, it's like a few ounces difference. It's very close to being the same weight as this crazy lightweight rifle that I have. It's pretty dang close to the same weight.
It is. Is yours a 6.5 Creed?
I have a 6.5 and I have 2 6.5s. Yeah,
I have 2 6.5s as well, and I started hunting with that. That's probably what I'm going to have the kids hunt with this year. 6.5 with a can on it, adjustable stock. I get it just right. And even with that Cross in there, you could run that, or that BDX, you could laze it, and so you have the red dot, because my kids love the red dot.
Oh, nice. That generation.
Yeah. So it's like, that's probably what they'll kill their first deer with this year. But man, what a cool gun. It's like, if they could make it, I talked to Spala, like when he was there, if they had a carbon fiber barrel, I don't know how much you'd really save on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think about what I have in there with a carbon fiber barrel. I have a few things, but I guess it's not the Cross. Yeah.
No, it's not. And they talked about it potentially.
Oh, I know where I saw one with a carbon fiber. Never mind. I'll tell you afterward. I did see one with a carbon fiber barrel, but I don't know if I can talk about it, so I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah,
that's why I was confused.
If they had that, you can make it even much, obviously more lighter. But you save 10 ounces. I don't 5. I don't know if it's worth the juice, worth the squeeze. It's just such a badass little gun.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
And no, we had a ball of that. That was super fun.
Yeah. And who knows? They maybe only do it twice. Yeah, we'll see. It was really cool to be part of it. I'm really glad
we could be last champions.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, we'll see. But and going back to when you're talking about your company, and Sorinex Outdoors, and do you ever get any pushback for being you and being like unapologetic about things, America? Do you worry about that from a business perspective, or do you? What's that been like? Building this company that you've built over the last X number of years, but especially since you've been at the helm. What's that been like in the business world, dealing with universities that you're putting in these amazing gyms in, and what's that been like?
That's a really good question. I think initially when we started doing stuff with Sorinex Outdoors, and that just means it was shining a light on stuff we were already doing. You know, I've been hunting and fishing my whole life. The two biggest things have been the outdoors and strength and conditioning. And I would say the outdoors longer so than strength work. But that being said, when we started leaning into it more publicly, there was some confusion more than anything. There wasn't as much pushback. It was just confusion. The people in the strength world were kind of like, oh, like, what, are you getting into bows now or getting into hunting? Like, and they didn't get it. And it almost, I think it felt in some way like a kind of a radical, like they just didn't understand, because there's a lot of misconceptions. Like, let's say if you grow up in an urban or suburban area, a guy with a beard and a gun and all this stuff, like it's been portrayed poorly in public eye. So there was a little bit of that. And then some people felt like, even relatively close people, some people, like even inside the company, they didn't understand. They're like, well, what are we all of a sudden, a hunting company? I go, whoa, hold on. Like, it's all strength. This is just one of the facets, you know, for their strength is the basis of everything we do. Strength, capability, conditioning. There's just different adventures. At one point, the adventure was lifting a lot of weights. At one point, the adventure was making a hammer throw go really far from my feet. And at 46 years old, I'm probably not going to train for the Olympics anymore. So I could go back to these other adventures that I want to do. I could train. And
curling. You could do curling.
Yeah, I could do curling. Perfect. So then it's just a new adventure to train for and to put that towards. So, but like you said, I mean, a lot of the majority of our marketplace is university athletic departments, and they're not generally the most conservative, generally. And so we haven't had an enormous amount of pushback, and thankfully. But I'm not trying to shove it down anyone's throat, but I'm going to be unapologetically patriotic and rational. And if I hunt and I enjoy doing it, like I'm going to show what I do. Yeah. Like that's just kind of how it is. But the fun part is I've seen a lot of strength and conditioning coaches from that college world. They're now getting into it more so because I think in some ways we're making it okay. Yeah. And a little bit fashionable to, like, hey, you might be a football coach at this big SEC school, but it's okay to shoot a bow in your backyard afterwards. And it's okay for the 3 weekends that you have off for this 6 months to go bow hunting or to go deer hunting and take your kids, do all these things. And it's not seen as a bad thing. And so partly I want to educate those people, and even I want to take urban folks that grew up in urban society, maybe playing basketball or something that had nothing to do with any green space, and put a bow in their hand or put a 22 in their hand or take them camping or things like that, and just expose people to different things that they're not used to. Conversely, those folks that have been elk hunting their whole life, but as they get a little bit older and their legs aren't as strong as they were normally because they were doing all this physical labor, like, hey, like let's teach you how to train a little bit. Let's tweak these little parts and pieces and help you, die a young man long time from now. It's kind of thing. So yeah, we've had a little bit of pushback, some political stuff, but that was more during the COVID space. Yeah. Thankfully not as bad recently, knock on wood. Yeah. Cause we're not trying to hurt anyone's feelings.
And so there's some places you can talk about, some people who you can talk about whose gyms you've built, those universities, those are posted online and on the website and everything like that. Incredible. I mean, beautiful. And then there's some people you can't talk about, and then there's some people who are private that post theirs, like Jocko or Dudley and Rogan and show their gyms and all that.
It's cool. We just had there's a thing on, I guess, Netflix called Quarterbacks. And so, Bobby Stroop had Patrick Mahomes on his thing. And so everyone, I haven't seen it because I haven't got a chance to watch my TV, but everyone's like, oh, Sorinex is all over the place.
Nice.
That's cool. So
that's awesome.
It's kind of neat when you have, Mahomes or some of the other goats of the football world or whatever. And again, it's nice that they pay for it and everything like that. But the thing that I get excited is the people who could afford anything or choose anything. It's not lost on me that they choose our stuff. Yeah. Like that's kind of like when someone reads your book, hey, thanks. Like, I really appreciate that, right? I really appreciate when someone could have purchased anything in their strength and conditioning world and they chose our stuff. Then A, that means we're doing a good job. B, that's more inspiration to try to do a better job. And to, in that regard, if they're coming to us to purchase from us, that's a promise. Yeah. And then it's our job to deliver on that promise, that expectation, that when they later go, wow, I'm really glad I went to Sorinex because Joe Rogan got it, and now I know why he got it. Yeah. And or whoever might be, or University of Alabama, or whatever it may be. So that's kind of that like bar that gets set that you have to jump over that bar every day. It's like you can't slip. Like these people trust that we're the go-to guys for the go-to guys.
Oh yeah,
it's like your books.
Well,
the first 5 or 6 of them were great. The 7th one can't suck.
Exactly. Working on it right now.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. You're like, this is what we expect. And every time you're like, yes, he keeps doing it. That's it. But that's why you pass up hunts and you pass up all these other things to do a great job.
It's just how it is these days, how it is right now anyways, and continue to build upon this foundation. But we had Sorinex stuff in James Reese's garage in the terminal list. And, some things get edited out as you go, and you're like, oh man. So you can see, if you're looking, you can see it if you're looking for it. But there were some other machines that really had it in there. But then we had all this gear, so the guys are all working out on set with that stuff that you sent out. So that was amazing.
Well, let me know if you need more this year.
Yeah, so hope we do. Hope we do. And so they're staying in shape for the show with your stuff on set, and then it's in the garage, and you can look and see it in the background. And it almost made the opening credits. And I think I sent you a screenshot.
Yes, you did.
Of it. One of the
that was incredible.
Ones.
I was like, oh my gosh, if
that would have been
if that
really
makes
cool.
The final, that's unbelievable.
Didn't make the final. It switched up a little bit, but there was I forget what it turned into. I have to go back and look because everything would turn into something. So it was kind of showing like, James kind of symbolized what's going on in James Reese's head and his brain with the tumor and all of that. And so it was a full on Sorinex plate. And then it turned into
the end of the bar turned. I think the end of the bar turned into a sniper rifle.
You
said that to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, if that happens.
Yeah. So that was in there. But you do so many iterations. So what you do for the opening credits is you hire. There's companies out there that just do that. So it's not the same group. So what you do is I think they must see parts of a director's cut or something, but that you tell them that kind of the feel that you're looking for, and then they take all that on board, and then they give you some options and send you some stuff, and then you go back and forth editing and say, we like this, not this, hey, morph this, say what about the music, all right, here's these 3 songs. Like we had 3 songs, and they were all awesome. And so over the weekend, like me and Chris and Antoine and David Agilio and Jared Shaw, we're all listening to these 3 songs over and over again for a weekend, maybe even longer. And then we decided on the trigger.
Yeah, that
Mississippi
was
Twilight. But anyway, there's a company that just does that. I'll tell you afterwards. I don't want them to feel bad. But they're all awesome. Like
sure.
You weren't going to make a wrong choice in that.
Yeah, it's almost comes down to like what mood are you in when you have to make the choice.
Yeah, that could play in, but luckily I think that's why we took some time with it. So I think I know we chose the right one, but the others would have been awesome as well. And then those opening credits, there's these companies that do it. I loved everything. I'm like, man, there's none of this that I don't like, because they did such a great job. And then it ended up being, that end product opening credits that we ended up with. But it was pretty cool. But Sorinex was there.
Yeah. And actually in the gym. Episode 8, maybe, I think Brady Cervantes sent me a screenshot of the officer in California on the bridge.
I'm trying to.
He pulled him over.
Yeah.
And he leaned in the car.
Yeah.
It was Officer Sorin, which I thought
was cool.
Man,
that is awesome.
Check that out.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, it was. I can't remember if it was actually a male or a female officer, but
there was 2.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I just thought that was hilarious. I was like,
nice. No way. There's all sorts of little things like that, and some of them I didn't even know until we did the Terminal List podcast with David Agilio, showrunner, Jared Shaw, producer, actor, plays Boozer, SEAL buddy of mine who gave the book to Chris, which was the reason the whole thing happened. But we talked through all those every episode, and there's some things I didn't know that hadn't stuck out
So does someone else come in and start pulling little things like that, or are they like?
We just know each other so well. So Max Adams, former Army Ranger, amazing guy. He's right now he's number 2 in the writers' room. David Agilio is the showrunner for this next origin story series with Taylor Kitsch and playing the Bette Edwards character. But they love the books, and we know each other so well that they put these little things in, and either they don't tell me or they forget or whatever, because some things are last minute, like, oh, we need a number on this door, what's Jack's Bud's class, like that sort of thing. But I'm not there, so then they're moving on because there's so much happening. So no one's like, hey, we just put your Bud's class number on the so there's all sorts of little things like that. There's one thing there's
what Bud's class were you?
213. There was there's this I don't know if you saw it in the house. No, because it's off the wall right now. But there's this guy in LA who does artwork with targets, and it's been in a few shows. Been in Californication. Been in a few different ones in the background. But he did this thing with another SEAL buddy of mine where they shot one bullet on the every minute on the 10th anniversary of September 11th for every SEAL killed in combat. And then somebody would be down there and they'd mark it and put the name of the first SEAL, boom, second SEAL, and they put the name for each of these shots on this target. And what was crazy is
was it down there?
It was in Virginia Beach. I think they did it in Virginia Beach. Okay. But in the house, there's one in the house. There's a different one in the house. Yeah. There's a different one of his in the house. I have 2 of them in there. I have 3 of them in there. Oh, one of them's right there. See that right? Medusa? Behind, right next to In the Blood. See it's not the target, but it's a girl with a rifle.
Yep.
So that's his right there.
That's cool.
And so that particular one they took the newspapers from 9/11, and that was the background. That target was the foreground, and then all the names were across the bottom. And we have a scene in the terminal list that was really powerful. And so it's James Reese. He's going into the high bay, and he's going into the weapons room, and he's getting all his stuff from all his gear. And but he's in the parking lot. He's going through, putting his little card against the thing, putting his code, going in to the team, and all that stuff. And the music's going, doosh, 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 going. And then he opens the door, and he's in his high bay, and everybody's gear is there, and they're all dead. So it's all his guys. And so they were killed in the book in Afghanistan, and the show. Obviously, it's a little different. But so all the cages are right there. And so he's standing there alone, and the music stops. And there's that piece of art right there behind him of every SEAL killed from 9/11, every shot, every minute on the minute. And so it's... So it was really powerful.
Yeah.
But it didn't make the final cut. Yeah. So there's like a 2-hour version, 2 hour or more. Anyway, director's cut that was like the first cut that we looked at from that first one. And I was like, I can't cut a minute, can't cut 1 second of this thing.
Right.
This is Antoine's cut, and there can't get any better than this. But we had to whittle it down to an hour. So there's an hour out there.
Is there anywhere to see that director's cut?
I don't think, maybe on my computer, or maybe not if anybody from Amazon is listening, because there's no way that I have it. But it was cool. But it's not, it's not, none of it's treated, all that sort of a thing. So it hasn't gone through those final stages yet. So it's still a rough cut. Yeah. It's the very first one. But that was very powerful. So that's another example of something that was filmed that didn't make it in, just for whatever reason, just didn't.
It's so sad in some ways, because like there's so much meat there. You want to like revamp it back, roll it back, and do some director's cut or something.
And I see why we cut it, actually. So now I'm learning. I'm learning the process. I'm a sponge. I'm a student of all of this, and now I see why that it didn't make it in there. But it was pretty cool, and I really wanted to get that piece of art in there. And it is in there in the opening credits. There's a different piece of art with that target that's cool. That's like that.
So, how many?
Elwood T Risk, for anybody when it's on Instagram. Elwood T Risk, and that's the website as well. And he does amazing work. I've been down there a few times to where he works in Long Beach, and I mean, when you think artist in LA, like this is him. It's just awesome. I love it. Yeah,
now, how many SEALs were killed since post 9/11?
I don't even know right now. Yeah, I knew for a while, and then. Yeah,
unfortunately, the number goes
I think I didn't want to, and that's why I don't have that particular piece of artwork also, because there's the original, and then he did a certain number, of them that you could get and that they auctioned off for different things. But I didn't want to have that always right within view every single day. It's enough. It's in me. It's a part of me enough that, and there's enough visual reminders around anyway. And it's in my novels, obviously woven in, that I didn't want it because it's huge. Like it's gigantic, the piece of art. So I also didn't want that to be the centerpiece, if that makes sense. That might be not, anyway, that's just, that's just,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's always a part of me every day. I think of it every day, and we got all this stuff everywhere.
I mean, a piece of art, it moves you. And if it doesn't, it's not.
I remember anyway. I felt like I didn't need the piece of art to remind me.
Correct.
But it's stunning. But I have other artwork obviously by the artist,
right? And it's a stimulus, and sometimes we don't always need that stimulus.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember every day, but that's I'm gonna build on that foundation. Hopefully, honor the memories of those friends who didn't make it through the way that I live my life and raise my kids, and try to be a good citizen.
More of a long form.
But I did want to get it in the show. I did want to. So maybe we'll sneak it in somewhere else at some point. You never know. You never know. But that was cool. We got a Josh Hall surfboard in there. We got cool. We got PSE bow in there. Dudley's is in there as well. So Knock On Archery, little mat there on the desk. So we worked in quite a few things. The Fort Knox safe is in there, similar one to that one right there. So we tried to work in as many things as we could. Winkler, obviously, Tomahawk. So I tried to work as many things in there as I could from buddies and all that stuff that makes, because that's important. And there's no product placement that was paid for. That's the other thing. Like no one could pay to get anything into the show, which was cool. I think that's different than a lot of shows out there. But ours, there's none of that, which was kind of cool.
Well, that's what's one of the coolest parts about how you interact with your community that I always see is you it's real. It's like all the companies or the community or the products or whatever, they're either things you are using, you're friends with the people, like there is relationship there. It doesn't seem like, well, for $50,000 I'll do this.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it real, I guess. Keep it the trust factor.
Well, then it's a Uber trip when you get written into the book. Like I know Andy, Flip Flop Andy. Yeah. He and I were on the same page, our Sorinex, and he was just like, dude, check this, because I didn't get a chance to read it yet. I was like, that's freaking amazing. That's so cool.
Flip Flop sauce. It's very awesome. Gosh, I love when he does that leg.
Oh, it's so cool.
I think you can get the leg from Maui Nui, or you could for a while anyway, a full-on axis leg, and then cook it up similar way. What do you make the broom? What do you make the broom with? Rosemary broom, and then you put it in the sauce, and you're putting it on there, and you're slicing it off as you go. So it's just cooking it at it's awesome.
We did 12 legs this year at Winter Strong.
Whoa.
Yeah, simultaneously.
Dang.
Yeah, I have a 30-foot long pit.
How many people were there?
250, 300.
Holy man, that's huge.
So what we'll do, we'll have a pit that's 3 feet by 30 feet, and we'll put a pallet of charcoal in it, like a full pallet, and we'll have stainless steel grates. So everyone sits around like a pit crew.
Dude.
And they're just legs and just fire and total bedlam for about an hour and a half.
That's crazy. Awesome. And is Andy running up and down?
Yeah, just running up and down.
Is he Flip Flop guy on Instagram?
Yeah, the flip flop guy is And so he's
running up and down, getting them all.
So he has a grill. He shows people how to do it, and then there's like the other 10 or 11, 12 legs.
No way.
And then everyone is just over there with their little knives and the whole deal and their brooms, and we're just smashing total bedlam for an hour and a half of fire and meat. And it's great because you get done and there's just like 10 or 12 deer leg bones sitting there. Dude. And then I
got a leg over in my freezer from Maui Nui.
Good.
I don't want to mess it up. You know what I mean? It's either because it's crazy. You saw it's chaos here all the time.
Yeah.
But
we always do whitetail legs at winter. It's just usually stuff that I kill or other guys kill. So I'll go on like doe patrol towards the end of the season. I'm like, how many deer do we need? And so then we'll go out.
Winter Strong. And so you have Winter Strong and Summer Strong?
Summer Strong, yeah. Summer Strong is the original. We've done 16 years now of Summer Strong.
No way.
Yeah, weird, huh?
How, jeez. When did Winter Strong start?
Winter Strong is, I think we're on 5 now.
Okay, so right about the time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that whole outdoor side. And Summer Strong was just this crazy event of getting extraordinary people together, kind of like TED Talk, seminar, group therapy.
Oh, it's amazing people that are there.
Yeah, it's we had Kevin Holland this year, had Michael Easter this year. We have some hitters coming next year. Diamond Dallas Page is the wrestler from the 90s.
Oh, dang.
DDP.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So him, we have a couple other like pretty neat surprise guys that are going to jump in. But yeah, just interesting people. They're doing, like I said, almost TED Talkish.
Yeah.
But just all with
and you're slinging arrows. You have guys making knives. Well, Montana Knife Company, right?
Summer Strong. We did the HQ. Okay. And then about 5-6 years ago, some of my inner circle guys were like, hey, man, we got to do another one. Like, because this is our family reunion. We all get together this time. Let's do a Winter Strong. Let's basically just roll back the tape. And so I kind of joked. I was like, well, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it different. It's going to be outdoors related. We're going to camp at my farm. It's going to be invite only, small group. It's going to be immersion stuff that's where we're going to do, strength and conditioning will be a part of it, but it'll be primitive skills and cleaning animals. And, we'll go and night hunt and shoot a bunch of hogs a couple nights before, bring them in, break the hogs down, teach everyone how to do that.
Nice.
Then guys like Josh Smith and Neil Kamimura and Mike Rodriguez and Lucas O'Hara and all those guys the knife makers started showing up. So then it's wild. Like we're at a kind of a strength event and we have like the best knife makers on the planet and they'll start to be bringing these just super ninjas in there. We do this like knife makers rodeo at night. We have a bunch of forges, a bunch of anvils, and guys are just smashing steel till 5-6 in the morning, just out there killing it. And, so that's just kind of this weird
special event.
I turned into that, but it was we took the part of the magic of this one, put it in the outdoors world. Andy's been there for years cooking legs. John and Jen Rivet, they come in from Traeger and they cook. They come in a month early and they stay at the farm, and that's kind of part of their vacation. But then
have you been up there?
I bear hunted up there. Gosh, 4 years ago. Have you?
Not yet. They keep inviting me up, but I haven't had a chance.
It's a super chill hunt that's exciting, and that there's bears everywhere.
Yeah,
you're sitting on the ground. There's bears everywhere. But so they come in, they bring their family, their camper, the whole deal, and then they kind of run the whole food side. Nice. So we have like 7 or 8 Traegers running for 24 hours a day for 3 days, and
that's wild.
And so Black Rifle comes in and they brought some coffee, and you have Kill Cliff and Jocko send some stuff, and Bub's Nutrition and
nice,
and just Yeti and like all the buddies and John's out there teaching archery and
crazy, and
Volkortsen is
nice.
There. We run all we have 1,000-yard range, but it's just a lot going on when you have a couple hundred people there to be shooting big guns. So we'll run Volkortsens up to about 250 yards, which 22 long rifle.
I need to get some of those. Like Katie Pavlich knows them and is associated with them. And I need to get a couple of those.
Yeah, Scott Volkortsen is awesome. Family-owned business, second generation. They're just the Gucciest 22s of all time, and whether they're rifle or the pistol. So we'll have Pistol Bay will be running, just it's amazing. So we're just a lot of fun stuff out there. So.
Man, awesome. Did Donnie Vincent come out one year?
Donnie came out right before we started.
Okay.
Right, but I think after the first one, he came out to the farm and we just screwed around. It was actually right before he and Michael went on the hunt that they wrote Comfort Crisis.
Got it.
And so it's kind of a strange world, kind of a look background. I'm sure you've had Donnie on the podcast.
Yeah, Donnie and Michael Easter as well. Yeah, I wrote Michael Easter a blurb for his new novel, or not novel.
Oh, good.
His new book. It's not a novel. Book.
I've turned more people in the strength world on the Comfort Crisis. What an awesome book. And then Donnie's just he's an original.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What an amazing guy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like everybody we're talking about has been on the podcast, or I've linked up with it, shot, or seen on a hunt, or out here at the down the road at that ranch we were talking about, and like it's really cool community. Really cool group of people.
It is. I feel very blessed to just kind of every once in a
while. And Eberly Stock Glenn,
yeah.
Or not this hat. That hat. I have Eberly Stock hats everywhere, except on my head right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I always have an Eberly Stock pack in my truck right now.
Nice.
But yeah, Glenn's come in. Glenn flew in 2 years ago. Landed in
those videos. his videos that he posts of him flying river canyons and stuff. I mean, what an amazing guy.
It's just super interesting, right?
And I saw the video that you did, that I did as well.
Yeah, we were both on that.
Just telling him how much he meant to us after his recent battle with cancer that he talked about on his Instagram. So
yep, just tough as nails.
My goodness, what an amazing guy. Olympian, Air Force pilot, flying the A-10, biathlete in the Olympics. You know, like all those.
Yes, creative.
Like he's a character. That's a character you'd create for a novel, and people would be like, "Oh, that would be cool if someone like this existed." Well, he does.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. And he totally, like, when he came to Winter Strong 2 years ago, he didn't even tell us he was flying in. Like, he just buzzed the field. We're like, "Is that Glenn?"
No way.
And then, like, he flew from Idaho.
From Idaho. Yeah.
He's like, like comes in like the Snoopy plane.
It's so great.
And no, it was awesome. His whole staff is great. It's just cool, fun people.
Yeah, we put two bags in the show. Chris Pratt's wearing the bag in the urban environment. He has the blue one.
Yep.
And then in the sniper shot scene, boom, he's carrying that, using that pack as he gets into position. So we got 2 Everly stocks in the show. And once again, they didn't pay for that. You know, it's all this, and it's all real, and it's all this kind of, same thing right here. Like the Hooten Young whiskey right there, the collaboration. Like that's, but anything that I do like that, I always make sure that I don't want to have some sort of line in the agreement that says you can't do anything. Like, I want to be able to talk about Horse Soldier Bourbon. I want to be able to talk about High West or Alpine Distillery or any of these other veteran-owned whiskey companies that are out there. And what's so cool is they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like, same thing with with SIG. Obviously, I've been carrying that 226 forever, but I never want to ever be in a position where I'm like, oh, geez, I can't be in this photo with it because this person has the Glock, or because I am trying out this Glock, or whatever it might be. Yeah. I want to keep it all, everything, want to keep it all as pure as I can. So it's an instant no. If anyone wants to do anything ever, it's an instant no. If it's like, hey, you can only use my rifle, only my pistol, only drink my whiskey, only smoke my cigars, only wear my watch, only whatever. Yeah. Instant. It makes it easy. There's so much going on. It makes it ezy. Instant no. And I'm moving on, just because, like, I'll still use all that stuff, but anything that's going to tie me down, like, no, there's no. I want more freedom, not less freedom.
Right. And I have a job,
and I want people to be able. If I want to talk about something, I want to be able to talk about it. I never want to be able to have to think, oh, can I not talk about this because, like, no, I never want that in my calculus ever.
Yes, and I've felt that before. I've been, pro staff with some different companies, and it's not necessarily any type of pressure, but like with hunting clothing or guns or knives or things like I like all that stuff. I didn't just get into this 3 years ago. So I was talking to Mike Glover last night. You would have to pay me an extraordinary amount of money to only shoot one brand of gun the rest of my life. It probably just not happening.
Right. Exactly.
Well, there's no reason for someone to pay me that much money, and there's no reason for me to not get to collect guns. And just, I like these ones, and I like these ones, and some days I want to carry a MKC, and some days I want to carry a Neil Kamimura, because they're all good stuff that are my friends. And I carry the gear that I use, and much like you and what you write into your stories, that is me getting to be with my friends when they're not there.
Yeah.
I get to wear a hat or carve up something on my knife, and I go, oh man, hope Josh Smith is doing well right now.
Absolutely. I got my first Montana knife company knife. It was the one that had paracord, green paracord. So I have that first one. I think it might be one of the first ones that they made. Still have that one. It's been really cool to see their company explode. And that's But what's also cool, anybody that had like some sort of a standard agreement, like let's say a pro staff or whatever. I think it's pretty standard that it's like, oh, you can only wear our hunting jacket or whatever.
Right.
But anytime that would just happen to be in like some language in something, and I've been like, nah, every company's been like, oh no, we want you. Like SIG wants me to shoot other things,
right?
Because I'm not bought by them. I'm not bought by this whiskey company, this watch company, this cigar company, whatever. Like I'm not going to do that anyway. But they like it. They're like, oh, because I think it's different than what is usually.
Yeah, and I think the customer bases is starting to see through the pro staffer influence.
Like, check this out. It's the best gun in the world. Okay. And you never shoot anything else. You don't have anything else back there in that safe, behind you.
Yeah.
Why aren't you talking? Anyway, not that there's anything wrong with any of that stuff. That's fine. People make their living doing that sort of thing.
I totally agree. But I do see, there's a little bit more to it when I see multiple different. I mean, there'll be days I'm wearing a Origin pant, or I'm wearing Beyond pants right now. I'm wearing a Everly stock under a Sitka jacket and a Beyond and a Origin hat or something. Right. And I go, people are like, yeah, you like you in a yard sale. Like, I like these things for certain things, and this is what I have on.
I got my Sorinex t-shirt, got my Aries watch, got the Triple Out design pants, Solomon shoes, darn tough socks, Yeti cup.
Hey,
what else I got? Sig hat,
big brand
guy.
You
know, hey, that's just I've always been into gear, and
I mean,
it's fun.
And a gear guy, and you obviously, that's one of the things I like so much about your books. You're a gear guy, and so am I. So, but it goes back to, hey, I like wearing my, and generally almost everything I wear or gear that I run is from one of my friends.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, exactly.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go to like a
why not?
rando store and buy like, these pair of pants are my size.
Right.
It's like, no, I'd rather like spend money with or rep one of my buddies. Like, hopefully, I don't know if people look like, oh, Bert's wearing this one, maybe I'll wear this. I don't.
It's just natural. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But now I just put these on. I go, these are great. I've had a lot of adventures in these. Nice. And hey, I appreciate so-and-so hooking me up with that.
Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And
your friends on your hunt.
Like that, the Hooten Young, it was on the bar in episode 1 with Chris Pratt as James Reese and Boozer in there. So that whiskey is in there. And because I wanted to support a veteran-owned company, and that's Norm Hooten, who Black Hawk Down, played by Eric Bana. So a legendary operator right there. Awesome dude. But I didn't know him then. Now I do, but I didn't then. I just wanted to support a veteran-owned whiskey company and get it in there. And obviously there's no payment for it or whatever, so put it on there. But then, so it's in there, and then it works into the script in that by the time James Reese needs to contact Katie, she meets him at the bar drinking this. So his email address, for those paying attention, is hootenyoung@protonmail.com.
No way.
So that she would see it in her thing and be like, wait, Hooten Young, that's what they were drinking at the bar. Type of it. So that's in there, but that was not, that's not like, at Coca-Cola, like they're not paying anything. It's just kind of, hey, veteran owned. It fits with me and that character and this whole thing. And so, and now we're friends. And of course now there's that whiskey right there, and just a solid dude, solid company. And
that's cool.
Yeah, no, I love seeing people get out of the military, know what they want to do, be passionate about it. In this case, it's whiskey and cigars. It could be building rifles, could be making knives, could be the hunting guide, could be photography, whatever it is. I love when people identify that passion and then their mission in life, whatever that might be, and then put those two together to become their purpose going forward, building off a foundation that they built in the military, both positive experiences and a lot of times negative experiences as well, but realizing that that's part of a foundation, even though there's some negative aspects to it. And it's time to build on that. And use even those negative experiences, turn them into positives long terms by passing on lessons learned there, and not just for myself, but for others. So it's, anyway, I like when people can identify that passion and really think about it and then make that part of their life going forward.
Yeah. And then, the passion side of that carries them the years through when they need the resilience, because the resilience piece is one of the big parts of the business, right? I'm sure the whiskey company or every company we're talking about had those hard years. And I was talking last night with Glover's thing. It's like, man, it's like you have to have so much of an overage of a passion for something. Otherwise, you won't stick with it long enough. I would assume that going through BUD/S, you had to have at least a passion with the idea of being a SEAL one day. That drove the resilience piece of it. Yeah. Because if it was like, I'm kind of interested in this.
Yeah, if you're it's probably not the spot for you.
Probably not the spot.
Probably not your sport.
Yeah. And so you have to be that's where we talk about, like with Sorinex Outdoors, we talk of thin air and deep water. It's, the idea of the thin air is as you go higher and further, it will get more and more difficult to breathe. It is. But what you'll also find out, there's less and less competition because less and less people could breathe the thin air. And then I've also found, as an observation, the same people keep being up on the top of those mountains.
Interesting.
Kind of like what we've talked about with the group, right? The group of people that it's like, why does, some of the people you've mentioned, why does that person always seem like every place you go, like, he's here too. Yeah. Again. And you go, oh, right, because he or she has been able to breathe the thin air. and they're very interesting and extraordinary, and they're the ones that are capable and resilient enough to keep climbing these mountains. And I find that very interesting. I get inspired by people that are high achievers, but extraordinary people create extraordinary experiences. And then the other side of it is the deep water, when you've gone so far down the rabbit hole to where you can't see daylight anymore. When you, like, let's just call it a John Dudley in archery. That guy has forgotten more than I know about archery. And you can't get good at it, or rifle guys, or like a SEAL. Like, you have to be so much a war fighter by the time you've been in 10 or 12 or 15 years that you've probably lost a lot of yourself, I would think. Because everywhere it does. If you have that much passion to go that deep water into whatever that is, you kind of lose reality of what normalcy is. But the funny part is when you get so far down the rabbit hole in that really, really deep water, that's where the real growth comes, which eventually those are the people that are always up on the top of that mountain. So that's where we talk about thin air and deep water. And that's why we look at, and it's the physical manifestation of it also. Like, hey, I want to be able to climb a really high mountain. I want to be able to dive really deep and go do some cool stuff. But it's interesting as I see different people in my life that I look up to. I'm like, thin air individual.
I like that.
You know,
I've never heard it put like that before. I like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I've boiled it down to.
I gotta make a note as soon as we're done here. That might make it into the next novel. I like that.
Yeah.
I know exactly where I think I have a place for it.
That would be amazing. Yeah. So that's our tagline, because it encompasses everything, but it's more of a metaphysical mindset. And again, think about, the people we've talked about, like their similar names keep popping up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's true.
And it's kind of like, it just sounds weird. Winners win. Like, people that are capable and could do things, they're kind of capable people that could do things. And no matter what you throw them into, they're generally able to breathe the thin air. But it's generally come from, they decided to dive down really, really far.
Yeah.
And they're the Yoda back in the Dagobah Forest that, like,
there it is.
That you're like, oh, that's the guy you have to go see if you're going to learn this thing.
Right.
And no one knows about him because he's so far down underground. And then that's where you learn the real stuff. And that's always been those rite of passage type people that I've always searched for. Like, what if I go in under the tutelage of this person, and it's going to be different. It's going to be extraordinary. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be something I've never seen before. But that's exciting to me. The mundane is not.
Yeah. No, you can tell. And I love what you've been doing. I mean, I sincerely appreciate our friendship. And before we go, because we're going to go and zip off and get back to Salt Lake to make sure we're there for the fights tonight. And some of these same names are going to be there.
Like I keep saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We'll see Josh Smith tonight, right?
Yeah. So Josh and Remy Warren and Evan and I are going to the fight. So I'm sure we'll see you and Joe. And again, all the same names keep popping up. And we'll go there and there'll be 5 or 10 other, like, of course you're here.
Yep. Totally. That's how it was last time. It was pretty cool. But when you think of Summer Strong, Winter Strong, business, everything you've built over the last, a long time now, but what are some of those lessons that you think are the most impactful and most important that you've incorporated either into the business side of the house or your personal side of the house?
I think that kind of what I was saying, that extraordinary people create extraordinary experiences. And I want extraordinary experiences out of life. I want my customer base to have an extraordinary experience. So that sets the stage. That sets the bar of, like, okay, then we're going to have to create an extraordinary customer experience through gear, through the service, to whatever it is. And not everyone's going to get it. And that's okay. But when you go after those deep water people, or those thin air people, and give people a potential pathway to become those people themselves, like that in my opinion is the business model, to become the go-to guys for the go-to guys. Like that's kind of where it is. And yes, is it steel and rectangles and bolts, and that's the simple part of it. Just like your pages are white pages with little black letters on them, but the magic is something different. And maybe I just think of it maybe too romantically, but I see it as that's what I want to create. And because I think it could be more, it could be, physical manifestation of stress and struggle. That's like why my hat says struggle well. Like life. Life is a struggle. Like you're never going to.
Don't expect not to get hit. Don't expect it not to be a struggle.
Yeah. I mean, you are doing considerably better than you were 10 years ago, but they're different struggles. They're we have a group we call the Strugglers. It's actually our kids. And 3 or 4 dads, we have all of our kids. We bring them in and we take them into my cave and we train them like a little miniature agoge, and we call it the Strugglers. The idea is you're never going to grow out of being a struggler. Yeah. You don't. And one of the kids were like, now that we're getting better, could be the almost theirs. I was like, no. So we stopped the kids. We said, hey, who here thinks that one day you'll meet the perfect woman, you'll get the perfect job, you'll make good money, you'll do this, and life will be happily ever after? And all the kids raised their hand and all the dads raised their hands as of, this is what I was told. And I was like, it's a lie. It's a lie. There will always be something. Yeah. I mean, whether it's life's going to throw a curveball. Yeah. Or there's a family illness, or there's a disability, or there's all of us are going to struggle. Even if fame and success carries with it its own set of problems. And it's not being a woe is me. It's just realize that you're never going to be able to clock in and just go, we're on Easy Street. I hear pretty bad guys. Yeah, boy, we're going to, we'll hit it big and we'll go on Easy Street. Where's Easy Street? I've yet to find it. Yeah. And so if the goal of that always is then just learn to struggle well. Yeah. I like it. If that's all if you struggle know this well. Yeah. I like it. If it's coming. Yeah. The only thing you can do is learn to struggle well.
Have you tried the Jack Carr Hooten Young Warrior Proof Whiskey? If not, I highly recommend it. If you don't know Hooten Young, check them out at hootenyoung.com. It was started by Norm Hooten and Tim Young and born of a love of whiskey and cigars. If Norm Hooten sounds familiar, it may be because you recognize the name from the film Black Hawk Down, where Delta Force operator Hoot was portrayed by Eric Bana. You might have caught 2 references to Hooten Young in the Terminal List Amazon Prime video series. It's the whiskey James Reese and Boozer are drinking in episode 1. You can't fake aged whiskey. My Jack Carr Hooten Young collaboration is aged 16 years. It's 125 proof and bottled straight from the barrel. This Jack Carr Warrior Proof American whiskey turned out better than I could have possibly imagined. As Norm says, Hooten Young was created to help folks slow down, bond with the people around them, and remember those who are no longer here. Go to hootenyoung.com and get your hands on a bottle today. That's HOOTENYOUNG.com.
The mission behind it, and a friend of mine came up, Luke Day, the strength and conditioning coach of South Carolina. He came up with it when he was fired from a job, was making good money, got fired, and was working as a low man on the totem pole at a concrete company. Okay. And he's sitting there thinking, okay, I was making great money last year. I was head of a football, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, now I'm getting dog cussed every day on a West Virginia concrete deal. And he's like, I rethought coaching, how communication with people, mentorship, what my values were, what my hard stops were. And it kind of came back to like looking at a man, and it's interesting. He's like, who did we want to be when we were 10? And he created a company called Manchild. And it was like, when we were kids, who did we want to be? Not only in vocation and, in our recreation, but what were our virtues? What were our, and you look in what you did in your life and what you're continuing to do, you're doing a 10-year-old version of that. Yep, exactly. And 100%. It's like, that is success. Money isn't success. Fame isn't success. If you were 5 years old and you wanted to be helpful to your friends or be a good dad or be like whatever, like, and if you could get close to that now, like, that's the goal. Yeah. That's the goal and it was before the world either said you couldn't, either said you need to settle down, you need to go get good grades, you need to go, like, all the bullshit they feed you, all the stuff they say you can't do in life, all the stuff they said you need to stop dreaming, you need to go get a real job, you can't go be a warfighter, you can't go build strength equipment, you can't do a podcast, you can't, whatever the hell they say. Like, who were you when you were your purest form right before you kind of weren't, you know? And it's like, you're old enough to start making decisions and see the world in a way, and you're still young enough to still be a kid. And the kind of the idea of like, oh, that's the idea of the man child. But then also the key of the whole thing is just to learn to struggle well and to keep that heart in what you're doing. And then you're going to struggle like you do at times, both of us do, but we're getting to be the version. If a 10-year-old Bert saw me now, he would look up to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he would go, hey, you did it. You did the things, you know? Oh, you wanted to run around in the woods and sneak around and wear camo and go on adventures and be with friends around a fire and have neat friends that you could be there for and maybe be capable and big and strong and a leader, like all these things you wanted to be at 10. You did it. And that's the goal. Like, that's the goal. And the manifestation of how we do it through our jobs or whatever that is, like, that's it. And I think so many men and women forget who they wanted to be. And they go to what the world told them they needed to be, or the society said that they needed to have this or do this. And they're pissed off and they're mad and they're angry and they're stressed and they don't even know. They even know that. I mean, I think that's where a midlife crisis comes, because you go, who the hell am I? What am I doing? And then people start chasing it with substance and wrecked relationships and all that other stuff. And so that's where I look, and I that's why you and I think we fit so well, because it's very, very obvious that we're living our man-child life in some ways.
Yeah.
And however, going from looking up to Sylvester Stallone to talking to Sylvester Stallone and getting to go, hey, this is the triggers that hit. And then to know that I have an effect on target with him, that's wild.
Crazy.
And then to know that, yeah, you're writing a book that he knows about that's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Like, that's huge.
That's wild.
That's wild, right?
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that really gets me excited. Because I think if you could, I think it was Atia in a podcast the other day, he was talking, I think it was with Jocko. And he was talking about being old, when you're old and when you're young. And like, and they were talking, wasn't a chronological or biological or it was, if you are looking forward to things and dreaming, you are still young. If you're looking back predominantly, remembering the old times, you're old.
Ooh.
And I go, oh, wow, that's it.
Wow.
That's the definition.
Yeah.
If you're still dreaming and looking forward to adventures, you're young. Because you're seeing, I have time. I have drive still. I'm pushing forward still. If you're looking back, that means you feel like you're at the end of your movie, and the only thing there is to do is watch the reruns.
Oh man.
And that's where I kind of jokingly, like, I want to die a young man a long time from now. Like, that's the goal. The goal is to be dreaming of the next strategy, tactic, adventure, whatever, as long as till I clock out. And that's where, you know, fitness and weightlifting and all that stuff comes in, because that's my insurance policy, is how do I get to do this as long as possible?
Yeah.
And then extraordinary experiences come from extraordinary people. So if I'm around a lot of thin air people, then life is generally going to be more interesting. There's going to be more opportunity, and I don't mean financial opportunity, but there's opportunity of, for instance, I got a call from Josh Smith and says, hey, you want to go to the UFC fight? Sure. That's an opportunity that I wouldn't generally get. And I said, well, if I'm going to go to Salt Lake all the way out there, I'm going to call my friend Mike Glover, and I'm going to call my friend Jack Carr, and then we get to do this.
Yeah.
And so I look and go, gosh, like, my extraordinary friends have created an extraordinary life. It is not lost on me that I'm sitting on a top of a mountain with a New York Times bestseller, one of my favorite authors, probably my favorite author, patriot, and someone I look up to, and I get to call you a friend, and I get to have a really great conversation. And then we get to connect and realize our lives are very similar in many ways, but we get to learn how they're different too. Like, those are all wildly extraordinary experiences. And I kind of joke, I go, if I have to be really good at making steel rectangles for that to happen, okay. Like, okay, that sounds like a great cover charge. That's actually pretty fun.
And you're the best at it, no doubt.
Oh, man,
just look around, look around at all the gyms and all the people we can't talk about who have them as well.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. And I love what you said about the 10-year-old version of yourself, because so at age 7, I found out about SEALs. Military was in my DNA, just in my blood, but 7, I found out about SEALs, so I knew that would be the path. And then age 10, that though is when I stopped reading the young adult fiction. I think that was the transition year from young adult fiction, let's say like the Farley Mowats, like the Never Cry Wolf and the Lost in the Barrens and that sort of a thing, into the kind of books my parents were reading. That's when Hunt for Red October came out. Then by 6th grade, 11, certainly it's only the same kind of books that I read and write today. So sixth grade, 11 years old, that's when I was, so that's so 5th grade is a trans, and guess what else came out 5th grade summer? Red Dawn.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So another connection right there.
Oh, and Milius wrote the monologues for Hunt for Red October for Sean Connery too.
Did he really? Yeah. Is that in that movie? Is that the Milius movie?
It's wild.
Gosh, I got to watch that
it's
tonight.
Bonkers. Yeah.
I gotta come home from UFC tonight at like 1 a.m. and watch that. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch it on Sunday. But
isn't it crazy? Like all those things happened roughly at that time, and who you are was fully cemented pretty much by 11.
Oh yeah. It's like that. I know I'm going to write, and then I find out. Then Rambo First Blood Part 2 comes out that next summer, and now I'm reading the book by David Morrell, and then I'm finding the First Blood book and the First Blood movie, and then I'm reading all these other books in this genre, finding Nelson DeMille, finding all the J.C. Pollock and Mark Olden and all these guys, and I'm reading those and realizing that once I've finished my time in the military, because even back then I know I'm not going to be in the military forever, then I'm going to write, and I'm going to write books like these. So yeah, pretty crazy.
I mean, how old are you now? High 40s?
We can go with that. That's
okay. Good. But then you look at that and go, gosh, that's an almost a 40-year plan that came together.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Right. You think about like how odd, that's super rare.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perfect version of a man-child. Like who you wanted to be, you actually went out and manifested and did it. The 10-year-old Jack would probably love reading your books.
I think so.
And the 10-year-old probably would, like, if you were able to look at yourself now, you're like, hey, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. And I think part of that is, I mean, I wouldn't say that's ultimate joy, but if what every man wants to know.
Pretty close.
It's not far off, right?
Mm-hmm.
What every man wants to know is, am I good enough? I mean, that's the hole in their heart, basically. Or that, am I good enough? That's why we do sports. That's why many times we
test.
It's always a test. I mean, wars, everything. Am I good enough? And generally, a female is, do you see me? Huh. And so those are the two operating systems. And so, like, I think what most men fight with is they question that constantly. Huh. And I think very few men can probably look at the tail of the tape and go, "Good job, good job." And it's rare. It's rarer than it should be. I wish more people could experience that. And I'm not saying rest on your laurels and be complacent, but at times, if you do succeed, and I've had to mentor some guys, and one of my friends was dealing with substance abuse for 30 years. He was drunk or high every single day of his life from 17 until 41, 42.
Wow, that's a solid run.
That's a run. Yeah, and I have known him for almost all of that, and didn't realize it became so normal. I didn't even realize, like, he'd had a couple beers, like, he had 30.
Wow.
Today. And then
that's an investment right there.
It's an investment, right? So life was totally falling apart, and then so part of what we had to do with him, we just kind of like backed. It was getting out of hand, like to the point where there was, I wouldn't say clacking off, but like it was. A slow version of that, very without any brakes on it. And we had to stop it and go, hold on a second. I know, yes, there's all these bad things. There's all this stuff. But let's focus on all the checkpoints that you have won. Let's do a tally of the wins. And I think if most men, and I've done that a number of times mentoring some people, if most men could stop focusing on all the things that went horribly wrong and focus on the things that went remarkably right, and write them down. on a list. And you look at it, and then if you say, if you were most men on earth and you had these attributes and successes, do you think most people would be really stoked to have that? And the answer is generally yes.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to see the forest for the trees when you're in the fight, you're in the shit. And I just let's pull that away for a minute. And I told my buddy, I go, you're strangely still healthy. I don't know how. You have a wife, you have 2 beautiful kids, you have a house, you live in America during this era of time. It's based on that alone, you have gainful employment. Based on that alone, you're in 1% of 1% of 1% of the population of humans that have ever lived on this earth. You have a car, you have a phone, you have air conditioning, you have food whenever you want it. Let's look at the real basal level of the wild successes you have in human history and work off of that.
Right.
Okay. Probably you don't need to do cocaine every day. Okay. We could change that.
Yeah.
But let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater and realize, by worrying about this side of it or not facing it or just digging in, you're losing time with your kids that people would kill to have 2 healthy, beautiful kids at 7 years old, the perfect age, and you have them sitting right there and you're pissing it away. And so it's weird to kind of go that route, but a lot of times if you do, a lot of people have a lot more than they think they have. And I think at times it's okay for them to go, to accept the good job, to accept things are okay. Because I think we have to have those wins. We have to have those wins as men, or you're always chasing, am I good enough? And the stress response of that, the sympathetic stress response, the fight or flight of the always running. I think that's where the stress diseases come in and things like that, and it's not saying, again, you don't sit on the couch and just say, I'm the man, but it's okay to be okay sometimes. So,
man, I love it. Struggle well.
Yeah.
Man, awesome. I'm going to go listen to that last part and can incorporate that into a portion of the novel.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I know where it's going to go, I think.
Oh, that's amazing.
But, yeah, man. Well, we're going to do something in this room, I think. We're going to change this into the gym. So I think we put some glass here, doors open up here. We Sorinex this thing out, and can we keep some bows on the walls so I can shoot in here? It's like snowing, blizzard outside. Exactly. Just launch it right from in here out there, I think. I think we do a couple things like that.
It's hard to beat. This is about as cool as it gets. I kind of still want to keep this in here just because of the coolness effect.
Man, I know, but it was supposed to not be it's supposed to actually work. And, but in order to work, it would have to be between us by code. So just because of the size, it just means you could walk around it. It just, but that's the one thing that kind of irks me a little bit.
Other way. No, it's super cool. Or if you could make it do something else.
It seems like it should be fine with rock behind it. I don't think it's going to catch anything on fire, but I think by code, even with the rock, it has to be, I think the rock has to be there and it has to be here.
Really?
I think. But maybe I should get a second opinion or something, because it would be cool to keep it. But I like things that work. I don't like props.
Same. Yeah, I don't like fake wood floors. I don't like fake anything. If I'd rather just run it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a real stove. Maybe you can do a gas thing that does put off some, and that's probably legal. I don't know.
Yeah, the wood's pretty freaking cool though.
I know.
And it'd be awesome.
I wanted it to be a real thing,
Yeah, it'd be awesome to have like a little, kettle of water on there, like a little pan of eggs, and you're eating.
Exactly. So we have something like that at a cabin elsewhere that I love, with an old wood burning stove. It's awesome. But for this one, and with video, somebody's gonna for sure let the authorities know that this is not to code, and they'll be sure and let me know in the comments and send somebody up here. Probably, who knows?
It'd be just like
ATF might tang along too.
You had the SWAT guys come in, just like in what started the last book.
Man, exactly. Luckily, I know a lot of the sheriff and police guys up here. So
you got to know who they are. Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah,
everyone always says like, you got to worry about them. Well, who's they? Mm-hmm. Make sure they is squared away.
Yeah, somebody would notice this. Anyway, but we'll do that. We'll get this thing all squared away. And right now outside, I have the off the grid one, but it needs to. wasn't put in exactly right. So I think I'm gonna have to dig that thing up and re-put it in. It was a little wide.
Yeah, it's a little wide. Laces out.
Just need to put it. Yeah, needs a little bit of that.
But it's still a cool spot.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
It's a good spot. I could see the use of it for sure. But I would definitely, this would be a more functional space. Kind of, we talked about just the ability to get in here quick and hit it when you can leave stuff set up. And, you know, kind of like we were saying about lifting before, it's like, you know, if you have to do a lot of setup, a lot of times you're burning your time, and you could break yourself off in 20 minutes if you put 20 minutes of hard, concise, programmed work in. And that allows you to do it. I mean, you're busier than most people I know. So,
well, I feel very fortunate. There's a lot going on right now, which is awesome. I love it. I love it all. It's great.
Yeah, when you have like a giant show on Amazon and books stuff that everyone. And by the way, that you signed the random books in the airport is great.
I love doing that.
That stuff, integrating, connecting with your customer base constantly. That is. Thank you for doing that.
I love it. It's my pleasure. And authors couldn't have done that. Let's say 1985. We were talking about 1985. Couldn't have done that back then because you could have signed them, but there was no way to reach that larger audience or get people excited about, I'm flying through that airport. I'm going to track one of these things down, or, you know, me saying, it's here, it's somewhere in Terminal A, you know, and then people will hunt them down, you know, which is kind of cool.
So I would assume every time you do it, within an hour, someone has it.
Let's see.
Generally the case.
I don't know because I don't go back unless I'm flying in and out.
Posted?
Yeah, not all of them, but like sometimes I have flown back the next day and they're gone, but nobody's posted. And then other times people will post, you know, 2 or 3 people will post that they found them. So it all depends.
It's like Willy Wonka golden ticket stuff.
It's fun.
That's what you ought to do. You ought to have like some kind of card or coin and one that like gets like a dinner with Jack Carr or something.
Yeah. So I did, what was it? What did I give away? I did that December of 2020. My wife came home and she's doing all the merch at that time. And so there are boxes everywhere, t-shirts, hats, and she's doing customer service. She's printing the labels. She's doing all that stuff. I'm writing these little cards for each one and putting my stamp with a wax seal on every single one for the first 2 years. But so she came back and she's like, what are all these things? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm giving out 1,000 free packages it comes in a cross tomahawk little bag or package, and inside is a sticker, a signed book plate, a bracelet, a couple other things. There's like 4 or 5 things in there, and she's like, wait, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, but I'm just going to sign them and get them in the, she's like, you know how long it takes me to print out 1,000 labels with Christmas coming up and with all these things? And so, but part of that was, I think there was 5 maybe golden tickets in there. So 1,000 of these things that I just sent out for all you had to do is just sign up, whatever, sign up. And so I sent these out to 1,000 people, but there was, I think 5 golden tickets. And I think at that time I was something. I mean, I think it was maybe all the books signed or something that you'd win if you got the golden ticket, one of the 5 golden tickets. So I did do something like that at some point, but that was close one with my wife. She's like, do you know how long? I'm like, what? I thought I don't know. You just print the thing. I don't know. You just print it out and it's easy. No, it was a lot of work. The kids almost didn't have Christmas that year.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Kids almost did not have Christmas. That was we got them all out though in time for Christmas, and then got the winners there.
That's cool.
Stack of books.
Yeah, I always love how you do those when you send those boxes with the book. Like, I'm always blessed to get them, and I'm always appreciative, and it's just pure class. And I keep it in my
my so
gun
cool.
room. It's definitely like, okay, that's cool.
Oh man, yeah, I looked at, hey, you know what? How do people launch a book? Oh, usually these books arrive in a manila envelope. And okay, but how do you launch a new Red Bull product? How does Apple? Why is getting my iPhone such a different experience than getting my old BlackBerry? Well, because as much thought went into that packaging and that box as went into the actual phone itself. So that packaging is a supporting effort, a supporting element to the actual phone, and the phone has to be the best product that it can possibly be.
Yes.
But guess what? Everything else has to be at the commensurate level of that product. So I hadn't seen anybody do that in publishing before, so that's when I started doing the boxes. So it gives people that maybe also want to help, like, making it easy for them. Everyone's so busy, but if someone's so busy and they want to get your book and hold it up or whatever. Maybe you send it in the manila envelope or whatever. But now you've made it a little more exciting, and they know how much, especially if they're have any touch point with marketing and advertising and brand building, they know how much work goes into doing those every year. And so they appreciate it, and then they share it. And so, but I'd say more than half go to people who don't have any social media presence. They're just thank yous. Yeah, they're just thank yous to people.
That's cool. So, I always bring mine in to work the next day, and I show my marketing team. I was like, he's still doing it. Nice. And it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I love doing that. And then the shoot through ones as well. But yeah, most of them go to people who have no social media presence at all. It's just thank you for X, Y, or Z. And then, other ones go to people who I remember were like first followers on Instagram when I had sold any books and didn't come from any background in sports or politics or whatever else to have any sort of a following. And so I'll send them out to people as well that have 5 followers, 10 followers, that sort of a thing, just as a thank you for jumping on board early. And I really do appreciate that.
Just like your 10-year-old self would have wanted.
Hey. It's gotta, just trying to look at it like I would the battle space, and also try to be, thoughtful and appreciative, because I truly do appreciate those people. Like 10 followers, but hey, they got my first week, and they posted to those 10 people, and so that meant a lot. That meant a lot to me.
Yeah. What do you think when you're going to have like first edition books like are going to be super collectible? And
it's crazy right now. So Mystery Mike, and he's out of Indianapolis, and he gets because now all those paperbacks that I read back in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, high school, I'm now tracking down signed first editions of those types of books. And so Mystery Mike, that's what he does. And and so he's like, do you know how much a signed copy of first edition of this is going for? And he's like, $600.
I still have a little paperback of First Blood that I read when I was earlier.
There's a lot of editions of that because it hasn't been out of print since 1972.
That's what you were saying. That's crazy.
Yeah, David Morrell.
The kids haven't watched that one yet. The boys haven't. They've gone Red Dawn. We went Ghost in the Darkness the other day. Which was a good thriller. But
was it good for them for their age?
Yeah. They and there's actually a thing called Vid Angel. Have you seen that? So it's an app. It's really cool, and you could scrub anything out of anything.
What?
Wild.
Fantastic.
Jeez. So yeah, you could go into it. You could hit it, and it'll say it has like 220 whatever. I can't remember what they call them, but potentials. And you're like, I want to take all the profanity out of Red Dawn. Well,
right.
You hit it, and it tells you what it took out.
Right.
And then you're like, all right, I'm good with that. A 7-year-old could maybe, and this guy getting blown up, I'm gonna take that out, and this good. Boom, you hit it, cast it up to the TV, crank it.
Interesting.
And so, especially for the younger,
or if it's okay for the older kid, but the younger one wants to watch too.
That was the kind of
because the older, and you're like, well, I got my 5-year-old here, and there's and my 15-year-old or 10-year-old or whatever, and you
still get the premise of everything, and it's still a great movie or whatever. But you're like, I could scrub these one or two, like a sex scene out or something like that. You're like, that's not a point to do that 8 years old. So it's like, let's scrub that, and like, hey, let's watch it because this still has a great message and a cool movie.
Hey, when they're 15, 16, 17, 18,
then you watch the real deal one. But it's a Vid Angel. It's a thing I heard about.
Oh, interesting. It's good parental tool.
Yeah, it's right.
Take some control.
Yes, I already downloaded First Blood, Rambo, Hunt for Red October, and I just
There's nothing too bad in Hunt for Red October, is there?
No. He took out some F's and GDs and stuff like that. Just like, all right, cool. I mean, not needed for context for a little kid, but rock and roll.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it was a neat thing. It definitely opened up our viewing choices.
Okay.
Because before it's like, I don't want to watch another whatever. But my kids do like MacGyver.
Nice. I need to start doing that MacGyver with the kids.
Oh. Yeah, it's hilarious. I
think he shoots an AK in episode 1. You know how they always say MacGyver never used a gun?
He does.
I remember him shooting an AK in episode 1.
Episode 1, he certainly did. So yeah, my kids.
It's probably, if I'm thinking back, I haven't seen it since, let's say, when did it come out? 85, 86? Somewhere in there? 86?
Something like that. Did he not rig it somehow to shoot, I think, maybe?
I don't know. I'm going to have to go back now and try to find it. I seem to remember it that he shoots from the hip. And then that's gonna be totally wrong because I'm going back now. I'm going back to 1986 in my mind.
Right.
And then I think he takes a flare gun and he hammers it so that the flare won't come out, and then he shoots himself off the cliff so that he can do the base.
You have a wonderful memory because that's what he does.
Is that it?
Yes.
I think that's
he used
it.
the knife for something. I can't remember. But yeah, he rock climbed up onto the top of this thing.
Does he have somebody with him? I can't remember if he has somebody escaping with somebody.
He escaped. Yeah, he took out maybe it was a pilot that was like held as a POW. That was the pilot episode. Yeah, so my kids dug it, and so they're it's kind of hilarious. My kids are. I kind of decided I want to raise my kids like they're in the 70s.
Yeah,
and so my little ones watch Leave It to Beaver. They love Leave It to Beaver.
Way.
It's just hilarious. They watch Flipper, and they watch MacGyver.
Nice.
I was like, hey,
solid lineup right there.
Solid lineup for little kids, man.
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years introduce some Magnum and
for sure.
Throw some A-Team in there, some Simon and Simon.
Exactly.
Yeah, Riptide.
100%.
Airwolf.
Yeah, exactly.
Get those going.
Yeah. And then throw some Missing in Actions in there. Part 1 and 2. 2 was a little bit better.
Yeah, Braddock 3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. So that's kind of the move. It's like, but I had to figure out how to curtail those things into. I think Jaws, I was able to run as well.
I was worried about Jaws because I didn't want him to be freaked out of the water.
Yeah, I haven't gone that route either because we live on the lake, and I saw Jaws when I was a kid, and it freaked me out pretty bad. But it was like when your HBO's at your house, like in the early 80s, and my mom taught the cable guy.
Not too many choices.
Yeah, we didn't have enough money to actually buy cable, but like the cable guy hooked it up because my mom taught him earlier. So I got HBO as a kid and early child, so you got to watch all those cool Red Dawn and everything all the time. And I watched Jaws and Jaws 3 that summer.
Is that in the park?
3D one.
In the park?
Yeah, the park. Yeah, and so I watched it like every day. And we lived in the suburbs at that time. And then so when I eventually got where I was like going to the lake, I was terrified because you know how like the wake of a boat kicks back and it looks like a dorsal fin would be there. Okay. And so I just always assumed there was a shark right behind your boat.
Especially after Jaws 3. They can get anywhere.
Jaws 3, yeah. I mean, you could be skiing in the park. I mean,
you just don't know.
You just don't know. So yeah, I haven't gone the Jaws route with him yet.
Wow. Well, we did take our little guy this last year to Pearl Harbor, cool. Punch Bowl, USS Missouri, and did a shark dive out there with him, just snorkeling. But so I have some really cool pictures of him diving down and with the sharks and that sort of thing. But it was pretty cool. He had not seen Jaws.
Yeah, I need to have my kids see that first.
I'll show you.
Or do that first before they go.
Yeah.
Because I think they'd still be kind of okay with it. And
yeah. Well, while we were there, guess what? A surfer got chomped while we were there. I don't know if it was the day that we did that shark dive. The day that we did the shark dive, a girl somewhere, I think it was a college girl. Where was she? I'm going to mess it up. Let's say it was South Pacific or Maldives. Anyway, not sure exactly where. The same day we get back, and my wife was like, "Did you see what happened here? Shark dive tour. Girl got chomped."
There's a lot of shark attacks recently, aren't there?
It seems like that.
This summer, I remember there was like a shark attack summer about 10 years ago. And this summer, there seems to be a lot of attacks, but also like really, really close calls. Like, I think everyone has their phones now. So you're seeing like a hammerhead
might be
within. But it's just really weird. I don't know if it's the lack of shark fishing now and the years of, and then more people and the whole deal, or if it was like one of those weird hot summers or cool whatever that pushes the sharks
probably
in.
A few things, and we could be totally wrong, and some shark person listening to this will be like, oh, these guys.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, probably a lot. There's those factors, I'm sure. But then also I think, and I may be wrong, back in let's say 1960, if somebody got bitten by a shark in Southern California or Hawaii, I think like the fishing fleets would go out and would slay.
Yeah, like in Jaws.
And I think that's how it was until not that long ago.
Right. And I think that, you know what I just thought of? Could it be the case that people have like watches, Apple watches and things like that have an electrical potential? You know, because I mean, sharks run off, what was the ampullae of Lorenzini, the little dots in their face?
Oh, I gotta watch more Shark Week.
Yeah, it runs off of the electrical impulses. And you wonder, like, why is it more, or is it just there's more sharks? We don't screw with them as much.
Well, grizzly attacks. What did I see the other day? Gosh, who did that? Anyway, it was in the last 19 years. I think there's only been 1 year. And once again, the bear person might correct me, but generally, what I saw was over the last 19 years, there's only been 1 year where there hasn't been a deadly grizzly attack in or around Yellowstone. So the person saying this, and I can't remember exactly who it was like, hey, you know, when that used to happen, guess what? Hunters would go out and they would kind of take care of business, which made the easier to kill grizzlies, the ones that were killed first, or the ones that were killed before everybody came back in. So the ones that are eating out of the trash cans and coming into the campgrounds and doing all that stuff, because they're curious and they're coming in.
Ones that have lost.
And so you're out there, boom. And so you had, but I think it was still regulated. So anyway, you're doing this regulated thing in Yellowstone, in and around Yellowstone, grizzlies, because the ones that you'll take, the ones that you'll run into first, will be the ones that are more curious and more aggressive. And what you want is to train them to run away from humans.
Exactly. Well, we experienced that in the lakes in South Carolina with the alligators. 67 years we went with no alligator season. So from the end of World War II to 2008, no alligator was killed besides by the Department of Natural Resources under like specific things. Yeah. You'd have 10, 12, 13, 14, not 13, 13s for sure. Foot gators, 1,000-pound gators swimming up to boats, ski boats in the middle of the day, just because no one screwed with them. For 67 years, no one screwed with them, and they weren't afraid of anything. And people getting their dogs eaten. One guy got his arm ripped off, like all kinds of stuff, right? Ooh. So the first year they opened gator season, holy crap, it was awesome. Like we were, everyone that went was like yearly seeing monsters, and I killed a 12.4. My dad killed a 12.2, like just giants, world-class monsters. Wow. I just pulled a tag. This is like 15 years later. I just pulled a tag. I talked to my cousin who used to guide down there. I was like, hey man, you think you can get us on the gators? Like, dude, they're sketchy now. I go, but you're only allowed to kill 1,000 a year, and you have 100,000 in the state. So there's 1% that gave tags. And there's only a 40% success rate. So you're only killing, less, 0.4% of the population. They go, but all the big aggressive bulls either got killed or they got smart and they all went way back in the swamp because they know boats mean they're going to get screwed with. So you kind of solved the problem of habituated gators. Either the big ones that weren't afraid of people, they got murked day one, or all the other, if they're 13, 14 footers, they're way back in the swamp. They ain't fooling with people anymore. So it kind of sucks. Gator hunting's hard again. But for those first couple of years, it was like, it would be like if you went out and there was 300, 400-inch bulls everywhere, because it's just where they are. But once they get killed, and they didn't have to kill that many before all of them went. Boats come around, you better dive. Yeah. And you used to be able to just swim. We'd take boats and slip up to them and hit them with your bow and harpoon them, and that was that. It was rad. It was super fun. But now I was like, I don't even know if I want to go out for my tag because I don't have, weeks to go screw around chasing around a lizard. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and alligator meat's pretty good for those who haven't had it. Yeah, it's real good. Yeah, season it, little seasoning on there. Yeah. Oh, I had alligator last week. It's fantastic.
Nice. That's
if you want an alligator hunt during September, come down.
Oh man,
I know you have so much time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so September's a busy month, so that's coming up here pretty soon. I'm locking down, I think, all of September just right. Yeah, I think everything is off the calendar just to right. Sure, and get as much done as I can. Hopefully we start getting back to work on the show. So,
I hope that too. I need to.
It's looking good. Just get through the writer strike and all that, and as soon as that's over, we'll pick pencils back up, get back to work, and get this thing going.
Let me know if you need an extra to kill or
absolutely,
or fight James
absolutely. Well, we might need some. I wonder what happened to all that equipment. Anyway, somebody's probably in somebody's garage, but we'll have to get that stuff and get it out to the new location.
That'd be cool.
And get it in the back, at least in the background. But I think this time we're gonna actually. Shouldn't say too much. We're gonna need some workouts. There's like actual scene. Training. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that here in a minute.
I know a guy.
Yeah. Awesome. Dude, well, thank you so much for coming up. This is awesome. Always great to see you. Likewise. And we have the rest of the day and this evenings at the fight. So man, we'll do that. And then hopefully we'll get out in the mountains one of these years soon.
That would be great. Or even if you have summer strong or winter strong, if it works for your schedule sometime.
I'm going to train up for it. I'm going to get that surprise workout as part of the SIG Hunter Games. But now I have those bands outside. Yeah. So you showed me those, and I need to start getting after it.
Yeah, hit the old inertia waves out there and ramp it up.
Yeah, just do that for 10 minutes, whatever it is. Yeah. And get a little something.
Awesome.
Thanks
for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for everything.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
I've been a fan of Black Rifle Coffee Company since their inception. I love when veterans leave the military and pursue their passion. In this case, coffee. The coffee is fantastic, And as an added benefit, the company is built on quality, patriotism, and giving back to the veteran and first responder communities. I've been a subscriber to the BRCC Coffee Club for years and love it. My favorite is Silencer Smooth. It gets delivered every single month. The Black Rifle Coffee Club. Being part of the club gives you the power to elevate your coffee experience to the next level. The Black Rifle Coffee Club puts you in the driver's seat. You pick the texture and the roast you want, the frequency you want it delivered, and the quantity. You get to completely personalize your club orders, ensuring that your favorite coffee is sent to your door exactly how you want it, when you want it. Right now, Black Rifle Coffee is offering an exclusive opportunity for new Coffee Club members. Join today and enjoy 30% off your first order when you use the discount code DANGERCLOSE at checkout. That's right, 30% off just for being a part of our growing coffee community. Remember to use the discount code DANGERCLOSE at checkout. Welcome to the gear highlight portion of the Danger Close podcast. All right, have Bert Sorin here with me today. Had an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Always love to see you. We have a few things from Sorinex right here, but where did the company start before we get to this?
1980. We started in 1980 in our carport in South Carolina. My dad started it up. So I've been there since 1999, 24 years.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a solid run.
Solid run.
Yeah.
Clocked in July 1, 1999, official.
Awesome.
But before that, family-owned business.
Yeah.
You're in it to win it.
Man, love it. So now, what was the first product?
The first product were probably I think we just made some benches and some squat racks we made in our garage and some things that my dad wanted for his own training. And then it was local high schools and churches and rec centers. And then it started migrating into university and pro teams and stuff like that.
And now there's which gym out there is the largest?
The TAPC, they call it the Tactical Athletic Performance Center down at Benning, is just an absolute monster. Okay. Air Force Academy is giant. University of Alabama football we just installed is probably as good as it gets from the college world.
Got it.
So those are some of the big ones. Surprisingly, the professional space, NFL, doesn't generally go as hard as the college guys do.
Interesting. Why is that?
Slightly smaller team, but also they pay their guys, so they don't have to recruit them as much. So
interesting.
Millions of dollars of salary overcomes, when you're trying to get young athletes in there, you have to have all the bells and whistles and the coolest stuff, and you're more developmental versus these guys are here, you're just trying to keep them healthy.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Got it. And then you have, so for people that see things online or look at your website, you have more than just, you don't have to be a college football team or professional sports team or Fort Benning to utilize some of these things like this right here. Bam.
Yeah. Center mass bell. So you're right. First of all, we do a lot of stuff with individuals, small gyms, larger performance gyms, but the people, we're known as the go-to guys for the go-to guys. So if people have stuff they really want to win, they want that tactical edge, that's kind of where we come in play. But this is what we call the center mass bell. So it's like a dumbbell and like a kettlebell, but you actually have in all three planes of motion, you have a perfectly balanced center of mass. So that allows you to do a lot of exercises without the flywheel effect. So you can move, you could snatch, you could press, you could throw. You could do a lot of more organic movements and just basically it's like your hands are weighted.
Yeah. So. Were you the first people to come up with this?
Well, strangely enough, we have the patent on it. No one had done perfectly center mass, which was strange because that seems like the most obvious piece. Yeah. But we found drawings of people back into the old Greek days and old Indian days using round implements around their hands for weight. So the idea has been around forever, and there's actually 16 or 17 patents that were already out for things similar. Everyone just missed the whole point of making it actually balanced.
Interesting. Yeah, because the first time I saw them was from you guys. Yeah. And I was like, man, why hasn't anybody thought of this before? But someone did, but now you just did it.
Yeah, and we just tried to make it where the holes in both sides, you could use it two-handed. That was something that no one ever done before. So now you could do throws and, like I said, organic movements versus a specific exercise. So you could do a lot of things. And so, again, it just the simplest form of weighting your hands.
Okay. Nice. And, of course, plates and all sorts of rack systems. Like mine outside is people go to my Instagram. You can scroll down and see it. If you go to Sorinex Outdoors, I know there's some on there as well. But the off-the-grid system. Yeah.
Yeah, that was made specifically during COVID so we could get a wartime product out to people that needed to work out. And so it was only supposed to be a 2-week project just to get some out to the people that were asking for racks. And then we've stayed with it, but that's really not our bread and butter. Most of the bigger rack systems that are fully integrated, so kind of like the Leatherman tool of a rack system. That's what we do a lot of. But yeah, got your bumper plates. I mean, that's our American made. That's our Recon Light bumper. So it's kind of a baseline bumper. Weighs what it weighs. Made in America. Lasts a long time. It's pretty simple. Good one to leave outside and just bang it around, right?
That's where this one is, outside right there. Eventually we'll get this place dialed in here. But that was in the terminal list. We had that in James Reese's garage right there. And then you just showed me about this. What's that?
So this is an inertia wave. So this is really cool. It's basically like a weighted rubber. So if you've done anything with battle ropes or moving, so for more what we'll call GPP, general physical preparedness or conditioning. So it adds density to your workout. So if you want more of a cardio effect, you could utilize an inertia wave because you have a faster turnover point where a rope is a lot slower. It's big, it's heavy, you get them dirty, whatever. You could travel easier with this. Yeah. You get a higher uptick of the need from your heart to start pumping faster. Okay. So that's where we look at that streamlined hardship. Like we're talking, hey, you got 10 and 15 minutes to work out. Right. You could go do intervals without. You could get it going really quickly. Okay. So I like it as a little bit of a secret weapon on that.
Yeah, that thing's awesome. Yeah. I think that's going to be my gateway back in here. I get out there before I start writing for the day.
Get the arms,
hit that, and then things like this. I mean,
things like your bands. You got your rubber bands, and obviously there's a million things, whether it could be used by itself or with barbells. Yeah. Whether it's stretching, training, and so just a good basic staple that most people will have in a training space.
What do you think if you had a space like, let's say, a quarter the size of this room and somebody has in their house or their garage, portion of their garage? Right. What do you recommend if they have like a limited budget? Sure. What would you put in a space like that?
For me, I would either say if you're really, really base level, I would say maybe 2 pairs of CMBs, of center mass bells, probably like a 30-pounder and a pair of 30s, a pair of 50s, or something like that. With those 2, you can get a lot of work done. Okay. You're not going to get a lot of heavy work done, but you can get some density of your workout and some cardio aspect and with some strength training. Or you could go as simple as a kettlebell. That leaves a lot to be wanted, but if you really run a tight budget for $100, $200, you can get something. Yeah. From there, I always like to have a barbell. That's the chassis of any strength training program, a barbell and plates, because you get axial load, axial meaning the spine and the trunk of the body. Okay. And then you have little pieces like center mass bells that are going to add that versatility. You add something in like an inertia wave for more of a cardio effect. Yeah. You could be in it for not a whole lot of money and still get strong, get fit, reduce body fat due to caloric expenditure. So you can get a lot of stuff done. And then if you can, some sort of racking system that will hold that bar off the ground for a safe position for bench press, for squats, or something you put the bar up top and do pull-ups. So you could then get into more working your body weight.
Okay, nice. Get it done with some quality equipment without breaking the bank and stuff that's going to last. Like you look at this, like this thing's lasting essentially forever.
Yeah, well, it was under 8 zillion feet of snow this summer.
All winter. Yeah, it was under, all this stuff was.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. That's ductile iron, so it's different than cast iron, so it doesn't break. So American made, and it's cool stuff.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks. And it's is it Sorinex.com?
Sorinex.com.
And then what's your personal Instagram?
My personal is Bert Sorin.
No dots in there?
I don't think so.
I know you have to think.
Bert Sorin or Sorinex online or on Instagram or Sorinex Outdoors.
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Now I just got to use this stuff.
Yeah, thanks for all you do, and thanks for being a gear guy.
Absolutely. Take care out there. Thank you for tuning in to the Danger Close podcast, an Ironclad original presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. To find out more about Bert Sorin, be sure and follow him on Instagram at Bert Sorin. Also follow Sorinex and Sorinex Outdoors, and of course, Sorinex.com, where you can link to all of the social channels. You can follow me at Jack Carr USA on the social channels, officialjackcarr.com. That's the website. Click on shop in the upper right-hand corner for the merch. And if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure and leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. Until the next time, take care out there. Stay safe. Be strong. Keep fighting.